fans are hoping for a much better performance from their team than they saw in BC. The only problem, it's another dominant team that they have to face. It is Calgary and Winnipeg coming up on Friday Night Football.
Calgary, it's interesting. This one's going to sting a little bit, coming off a high there, beating Toronto.
Zach Collaros is slow to get up.
Definitely don't want to see this for the Bombers.
He's going to look to the end zone, one-on-one! And the Bombers have their first lead in the ballgame.
When it comes to Jake Maier, shall we? He comes into Week 11, second in CFL passing with 2,208 yards, but is just 10 for 33 on passes of 20-plus yards. Zach Collaros missing his first start due to injury since joining the Bombers back in 2019. So once again, we will see Drew Brown, who passed for 307 and a career-high 4 TDs last week against the Elks. He looked fantastic. What does he have for an encore? It's Friday Night Football on TSN. Kate Burness alongside David Sanchez, Jim Barker, Paul Lapolice as we get set for the Stamps taking on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We know there's going to be a lot of attention on the quarterbacks. Ches, who are you looking for?
Well, yeah, you talked about the stats last week from Brown. He was awesome, and everyone wants to see what he's going to do again. I actually think the Stampeders want to see if he could do it again. We know what Winnipeg wants to do. They want to run the ball. That's everything goes through their run game. And that man right there in this defense, they held BC last week to 3.5 yards per rush. Pretty good run defense. We saw what happened with Brad. Let's see this week if he could drop back again and do what he did in the passing game. I think Calgary relished the opportunity.
Well, Jake Maier has had his ups and downs, and he's been very accurate. But this guy right here, the game wrecker of the CFL, Willie Jefferson, he is going to be lined up on every single offensive lineman. They're going to have to deal with him one-on-one, and Jake Maier is going to sit in the pocket and have to know where that 6'8" pass rusher is coming from.
I'm looking forward to watching Brady Oliveira. I love everything about this kid. Low center of gravity. You cannot tackle him low. He'll bounce off you. He's got the most yak yards in the CFL, 700 yards rushing. I'm looking forward to what Buck Pierce is going to do to get him involved in not only the run game, but also the pass game. What package are they going to do to get this great football player the ball?
The Bombers had to rally back against the Elks. They were down 22. They came back. They ended up winning it. On the flip side for the Stampeders, it was a humbling loss to the BC Lions. A great one, hopefully, tonight at McMahon Stadium. We have kickoff coming up right after this.
A chilly evening in central Alberta sets the stage as we get you ready for the Bombers and Stampeders on Friday Night Football. Calgary's offense has dried up as of late, just 9 points against the BC Lions last week. Winnipeg, the exact opposite. Their offense has been red hot for a month, and even when they lost Zach Collaros, it still looked great last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Drew Brown coming off the bench. Obviously limited sample size, but he seems to have thrived in this situation. This is a young man who has everybody curious to see how he fares start to finish with a team anticipating seeing him offensively. Take a look on the other side. Jake Maier coming off a tough game. What stands out obviously is that 0-3 record for his career against the Bombers. Here at home, he looks to turn that around.
And that's what Calgary's looking to do overall, 3-6 on the year so far. Right behind the Riders, though, still within striking distance over there. And Mike O'Shea has won 5 of his last 6. And overall, Winnipeg has won 8 of their last 10 against the Calgary Stampeders. Winnipeg, of course, at the top of the West with the BC Lions. And Calgary will have the football to start this game. 8 degrees at kickoff in August. Ridiculous.
That ain't right.
It was 34 degrees in Calgary this time last night. 8 degrees right now, so everybody's bundled up and ready to go as we get you set for Friday night football at McMahon Stadium. Tommy Lee Lewis waits to return this for the Calgary Stampeders, and Castile gets us underway. Lewis will take it at the 15 on the far side of the field. Back up just shy of the 40 is where he is stopped as we take a look at Jake Maier for the first time tonight.
And Jake Maier obviously looking to get this Calgary offense and this Calgary team as a whole back on track. They're going to take their cues from the quarterback. Maier has been, I think, very accountable in terms of the struggles of this team so far this season, but looking for a little more in terms of that production and consistency.
Last 3 games for the Calgary Stampeders, averaging just 15.6 points per game. Let's see what they can do against this Winnipeg defense. 1st and 10 on the Calgary 38. They'll hand it off to Kadeem Carey. And, of course, one of the running options in this Calgary offense.
And as we take a look, we'll keep an eye tonight on the Calgary tackles. Bryce Bell, Joshua Coker. See how they match up against the always tough Winnipeg Blue Bomber defensive ends. In the receiving core, Clark Barnes is out. We'll see Luther Hakunamanu play a little more on the inside tonight and expect to see a few more snaps on offense for Tommy Lee Lewis.
Yeah, Tommy Lee Lewis started on short notice a couple of weeks ago, was targeted 10 times, caught 9 of them, and he's in motion there to the right of Maier, who looks to throw here. Jake Maier, a lot of time, dumps it off underneath, tackled immediately, though, by Kyrie Wilson. Was the running back Kadeem Carey, and that'll be a 2-and-out to start this game for the Calgary Stampeders.
And Kyrie Wilson is a man who eventually gets to the Stampeder quarterback, or receiver rather. Wilson coming back into this lineup a few games ago after an Achilles injury that wiped out much of his 2022 season.
Grace lets it fly. And that one directly out of bounds on the far side of the field. Not a great start for Cody Grace, but excellent field position to start here for the Bombers. And Drew Brown, who makes his 2nd career start at the age of 26.
Yeah, and Drew Brown is a guy we had a great
Legal punt out
opportunity.
of bounds. Calgary with 24. It's a 10-yard penalty. It's going to be 1st down for Winnipeg.
Great opportunity to chat with him a little bit this week. And
what a guy.
Yeah, just very low-key.
Yeah.
Right? Not a rah-rah guy, a guy who seems to have a great perspective on the game and on life in the Canadian Football League.
We were talking about on the broadcast a little bit. When we have got glimpses of Drew Brown, he's done extremely well. At the beginning of last year, Zach got taken out by a concussion spotter in week 1. Came on 3 for 3, game-winning touchdown drive. And then last week coming in with Zach going down with that injury, and excellent, over 300 yards. And they'll start in the pass game here, a completion to Dembski, and Dembski just shy of a 1st down. And obviously Dembski having a great year in this Winnipeg starting offense.
Yeah, and we take a look at the Bombers' offensive line. Stanley Bryant, a guy who, of course, got his start here with the Calgary Stampeders, spent the first 5 years of his career here. Nick Dembski riding a 4-game touchdown streak in that receiving core.
Dembski had a 6-game streak last year. I saw the stats when I said he had a 4-game. I said, wow, that must be the longest of his career. And right after it, it said, last year he had a 6-game. Brukop into this game, short yardage, lots of space opens up for him, and he takes it down inside the 50. Here's a look at your Calgary Stampeders starting defense.
Yeah, that D-line is led as usual by Mike Rose. 7 sacks for him on the season from his defensive tackle position. Micah Alway having a fantastic year, very productive in that middle linebacker spot. A little shuffle in the secondary. Jonathan Moxey from on the corner, field side corner, he's out of the lineup. Nick Taylor slides from halfback to corner. Michael Griffin, usually the backup DB, comes in and starts at halfback.
Griffin, one of those guys I think you're happy anytime you can kind of get him out there on the field. Here's Brown, another completion inside the 40. That one to Wolodarski.
Seeing a little bit of a maybe changing trend in terms of the body types of returners in the league.
Look at that, Jamarcus Hardrick. He was working a camera a couple of weeks ago for us as well.
Multi-talented. Multi-talented Jamarcus Hardrick.
Dynamic weapon on the field and off the field. Prukop in again, and rinse and repeat here for the Bombers. Drew Brown completions on first down, finished off by Prukop on second down on back-to-back sets here.
We talk obviously a lot this week about Drew Brown coming in, the #2 quarterback, getting the start this week. But you look as well at Dakota Prukop, a guy who's been around the league a little bit. Nice experience within that quarterback room. Each of these guys has a role. Prukop doing a terrific job running that short yardage unit.
Yeah, and he's got 3 touchdowns this year as well in that short yardage situation as Zach watches on. 1st and 10 from the Calgary 36. This time they will hand it off to Brady Oliveira. Pushes ahead and eventually is taken down, requiring some extra effort from the Stampeders. Here's a look at Drew Brown coming in last week after the Collaros injury.
Yeah, coming off the bench, throwing for over 300 yards in that ball game and leading his team back from that 22-point deficit to get the victory. And you talk to people around the Bombers, and obviously down by that much the first half of a football game. You know you've got lots of time, but you've lost your starting quarterback. With Drew Brown in there, I don't think there was any dip in confidence for the Bombers at any point.
Certainly didn't look like it. He's got 4 options out to his right here, looks to his left, throws to his left, has a completion, and that is held onto by Kenny Lawler, who had a highlight reel touchdown last week. One of just 2 catches last week for Lawler, who was kind of held in check, but he gets involved here working against Roberson.
Yeah, this will be a fun matchup to watch between a couple of experienced guys, each having proven himself to be among the best in the league at what he does. Lawler wins the route here, just unable to pick up much after the catch.
Down to the Calgary 20 for Brown. They'll give it to Bailey. Rasheed Bailey trying to stretch it around the far side. And up and over some advertisements on the far sideline. Bailey actually led this team in receiving yards last week. You talk about all the different options that they have, and he had the most yards last week.
Yeah, and getting more involved this year than in the past in terms of that receiver run game, which we know is a big part of what the Bombers have done in recent years.
Made that look easy.
Yeah, strong runner. No question. You know, typically you anticipate seeing your more scat back type receivers in that role, or a guy like Nick Dembski who's been a running back, but Bailey doing a nice job.
1st and goal from the 10. Brown far side. That's incomplete. His first incompletion of the game. Dozier working there against Bailey, and he's able to win that battle.
And here you'll see Bailey again, the intended receiver, lining up on the inside of that formation. Not sure whether he's going to block or release. He slips out to the flat. Brown under pressure. Manages to get it right where he needs to, but the defender proving to be just enough of a distraction, I think, to keep Bailey from pulling that one in.
9th play of this drive, first of the game for Winnipeg. They've marched this far. Can they keep it going? 2nd and goal from the Calgary 10 for Brown. Trips out to his left. Looks that way, throws to the end zone, right at the back of the end zone. No, incomplete. Tried to drop one in there, and unable to get his feet down in time was Kenny Lawler.
And absolutely no lack of confidence in making this throw. Brown recognizes that there's a defender. Griffin in front of Kenny Lawler. Just tries to get just enough touch to drop that one in, but here you see Lawler's feet off the ground, not coming down until he's drifted back over that touchline.
So they will set up to settle for 3 on this opening drive. Maybe somewhat of a positive for Calgary, considering Winnipeg moved the ball here to hold them to 3. Castillo, 95% on the year, just 1 miss. This one a chip shot straight away for Castillo to get the Bombers on the board. And that is exactly what he does. The visitors lead 3-0 so far. Last week, Jake Maier and the Calgary Stampeders trailed at one point 17-0 in the first quarter. They'll look to get on the board offensively when we return. They have very fancy shields there.
All right, Dustin, who's your money on Women's World Cup?
I'll probably bet the total. But I'll go England.
You're going England.
Let's go England. Been busy with CFL stuff. Haven't been a chance to watch as much of that event as I would have liked, but big time final coming up. Castillo will get us underway again here. Lewis takes it just outside the 10. And Lewis trying to sneak through a couple of holes there, but he's wrapped up just outside the 30, which is where Jake Maier trying to get this Calgary offense on track. He'll have the ball when we return. Well, Jake Maier, like we mentioned, offense has been struggling a little bit. Tough against this BC defense last week, but just 17 of 31 for 131 yards.
Yeah, I know one of the ongoing themes surrounding the Calgary Stampeders offensively is it's been finding a way to get that ball down the field.
Yeah.
To attack defenses vertically.
Maier's average depth of pass is 8.4 yards so far this season. Starts here on his own 32. They certainly can run the ball, and that's what they will do here. Pretty good pickup on first down for Kadeem Carey against his Winnipeg defense. Looks like he thought he could have had a little bit more.
The longest serving Blue Bomber, Jake Thomas, the Acadia product. Always solid from his defensive tackle position. And this linebacking core, keep an eye on Reddick Ramsey, the only Canadian starting regularly at the nickel linebacker spot. And ball hawk, Demario Houston. 3 fumble recoveries to go along with 6 interceptions so far this season.
He's playing well, isn't he?
He has had a nose for the ball, no question.
Back on the ground again to Kadeem Carey. Look at those extra yards, trying to push ahead. 3 yards picked up there. Stopped just short of what they needed. But Tommy Stevens already running out on the field here to finish the job.
Yeah, great second effort here by Carey. That's going to leave him within a yard of the first down. The short yardage unit comes out. 7
carries for Kadeem last week in his return to the lineup, playing in just his 3rd game of the season tonight. Tommy Stevens, 6'5", almost 260 pounds, into the game to try to keep this drive alive, lunging ahead. Needed to get to about the 42. I think that little bounce sort of helped him there at the end, didn't it?
Much momentum behind a 260-pound quarterback.
More than enough. And they'll get Jake Maier back out there. Kadeem Carey, 3 carries already in this game. They do have Dietrich Mills. Really nice option there with both of those guys. Anytime Carey's been out, Mills has been just terrific.
Yeah, and I wonder if at any point you might see Calgary start to play around with formations where they get both those guys on the field at the same time.
Empty backfield this time for Maier. Wants to throw, will throw near side. And that is complete. Akunavanu is able to hang on his first catch of the ball game.
Hakunavanu, big target out of York University. An Edmonton guy.
Played junior football up there.
Yes, sir.
Maier stays in short yardage this time, and he too gets that job done. Let's take a look at a little bit of a deeper dive on Jake Maier's numbers so far this year. 2nd in the league in passing yards. He's also stayed healthy, unlike a lot of the other starting quarterbacks.
And the stats, of course, courtesy of Pro Football Focus, doing a great job for us in the Canadian Football League this season. And it's tough sometimes with the odd number of teams and teams having their buys at different times to sort of judge absolute stats.
As opposed to the per game numbers.
Yes.
First and 10 on their own 54. Mayer near side. Michelle hauls that in for a first down. And Calgary's offense showing a sign of life here in the first quarter.
And Mark and Michelle has been such a nice addition for this team that has battled injuries to the receiving corps. We mentioned off the top Clark Barnes, the latest to go down, but bringing back Michelle. Burst onto the scene in 2018. The Stamps, couple of years in the CFL before exploring his NFL options for a few years.
Working from the Winnipeg 43. Mills into the game. Took a heavy bump at the end of that play, but the first carry of the game for Dedrick Mills is a successful one.
And you think back in some of the most successful eras of running the ball for the Calgary Stampeders, they've typically had depth in that backfield. I look even at the start of John Cornish's time when Joffrey Reynolds was the primary ball carrier. John Cornish would sort of come in every third series.
How was that for a 1-2 punch?
Yeah, not bad.
2nd and 5 from the Bomber 37 for Mayer. He's going to look down the field. Incomplete. Houston working against Michelle. That's a fun matchup right there. Neither of them able to get their hands on that.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on these two matched up out wide. Michelle, the intended receiver. Watch the job that Houston does, positioning his body to the inside. Not giving the receiver any opportunity to get to that ball.
So Paredes called into work. He has hit 18 in a row, 90% on the year for the 38-year-old. 44-yard attempt, a little bit more than Castillo had to work with, and he knocks that one through to tie this game at 3 with just over 3 minutes remaining in the first quarter. We'll have more on Drew Brown making his second career start when we return to McMahon in Calgary. Well, he looked really good last week, and Drew Brown, another great opportunity here tonight for more on him getting into the starting position tonight. Listen to Down to Farhan Lalji.
Yeah, Dustin, we talked earlier in the week with Brown about what is better for a young quarterback, learning by watching or getting right into the games early and baptism by fire. And he says that for young quarterbacks that come into this league, particularly Americans, it's so important that they respect the game, and that if they appreciate the beauty and the differences of the game, it becomes a lot easier to stay patient. Now, we did concede that, yeah, there is a ceiling on how much you can improve by watching, but it's also important to have a great teacher and a mentor. He believes he's had that in Zach Caleros, and I asked Zach about that. He said the biggest thing he's showed him or taught him is maybe to take some shortcuts in terms of coverage, basically a bit of a cheat sheet or a cheat code as it is, but the two of them are so much alike. They both call each other football nerds, that they really believe they've learned a lot, and now it's going to be interesting for Brown. If he strings together some good games here, there's going to be a lot of interest in him next year, because his contract is up after this year, and if someone wants to pay him a lot, he said one of the things I'm going to get help from is Zach. He's going to guide me in the right direction, where to go, where not to go, and the best situations to surround myself with.
I suspect Zach might tell him, go to the East, Drew. Go play in the East.
Go play in the East. What a great position for Drew Brown to be in his career, though. Well, learning from that guy, watching that guy every day. Yeah, well, and it's a fascinating debate. We can talk about it more as this game goes on, but just about how important situation is to a quarterback's development in this league. 2nd and 10 here for Brown. Far side of the field. That is hauled in by Rasheed Bailey, but not near to what they were hoping to pick up for the first down. So that'll bring up 3rd down. They'll kick it away. A big stop defensively there as the Stampeder defense looks to try to generate a little bit of momentum for their squad. Second catch of the game for Bailey. 3rd and 7. Jamison Chino to kick it away. Stands at his own 30. Let's it fly. Blocked. Deflected as he tried to let her go. And now it bounces around the special teams come up big as a flag flies at the end of the play. Nowhere to go. Calgary in business.
Well, you know, anytime you're with a new team, you want to make a good first impression. Shaq Richardson here in his second stint with the Calgary Stampeders, just signed by the team this week, gets on the roster because of the Jonathan Moxey injury.
There is no penalty for contacting on the previous play. It's going to be first down for Calgary.
Richardson slicing off the edge there. Unblocked man takes advantage of the short corner.
Nice addition, somebody they're familiar with when Toronto had some success as well.
Much like we talked about with Mark and Michelle on offense, you get a guy in Shaq Richardson.
Well, Marky Amble's back as well, right? So bring in who you know and what you know they can do. Here's Mayer. He's going to be throwing here down the field, and that one batted away. Evan Holm working against Tommy Lee Lewis, and he knocks it away.
Yeah, and you can see two factors at play that prevent this one from being completed. Number one, Mayer's maybe a little later than he wants to be, as you saw him double clutch with that one. But also with the Winnipeg defensive line closing on him, he can't step into that throw, can't get quite the velocity he wants on that ball. Hangs up a little bit, just allowing Evan Holm enough time to get there and make a play.
Holm with his first interception last week. 4 options wide side right here for Mayer. Looks to the left, throws to the left, has a completion to Michelle, but that will not be even anywhere close to enough for a first down. So Paredes will trot back out here again. Calgary able to get some points on the board here if Paredes can knock it home after that blocked punt by Shaq Richardson. 42-yard attempt straight away for Paredes. 1 for 1 already tonight, 19 in a row for the CFL all-time leader. And give him one more. 20 consecutive field goals for Paredes. Looks exciting, doesn't it? Paredes and Calgary on top here, 6-3, and we'll see what Winnipeg gets going offensively. This Winnipeg offense has just been outstanding. They've scored at least 28 points in 4 straight games. I don't want to directly link it to Kenny Lawler, but hard not to tie him in.
Yeah, I think we can surmise certainly that Kenny Lawler does not hurt their offensive production.
No, yeah, that's certainly the case. 200-yard game since he came back, had a ridiculous touchdown last week against his former club, and he's at the bottom of your screen now, 1st and 10, and they'll just pitch it out to Brady Oliveira. Oliveira gets a block, and he is going to be close to a first down, and there's a chance to get Brady involved in the offense.
Yeah, wide toss here. You'll see Oliveira get a chance to jump start it. Fake to the inside. You saw how that helped Mike Rose, the defensive tackle. He thinks the play's coming right at him. Little stutter step by Oliveira there before he takes off to the perimeter.
Oliveira with 4 100-yard games already this season. League leader. Just over 700 yards on the ground. Also 274 in the air this year. Back again, right up the middle. A big burst for Brady Oliveira. Takes it down inside the 40. Biggest play of the ball game for the Bombers running back, 27 yards.
The Bombers offensive line looking to get things going here. They go 6-0 line. Elian is the defensive tackle. Great job there by Kolinkowski at center. Playing the role of road grader to clear things out. Driving his man to the left. Oliveira goes to his right. Good old-fashioned north-south run right there.
Final play of the quarter, Prukop into the game. A little bit of a different look here for the Bombers. And he'll hand it off to Oliveira again. The threat of Prukop being able to run that ball opens the door for Brady Oliveira, and another nice pickup of 7 yards on first down for Winnipeg. as they were marching in the beginning of the quarter, settled for 3. Calgary's put up 6 straight. And Winnipeg, though, has the ball and looking pretty good here late. The end of the first quarter. Welcome back to Calgary, everyone, and they are honoring the 1998 Grey Cup champions here tonight. 25th anniversary, and Calvin Anderson there. Just a phenomenal season, and obviously a touchdown in that game. And he actually joins us up here in the booth. And you know, I'm working with Mr. Ford now, but how is he as a teammate over there?
Phenomenal, great leader. I got a lot off Ford, and the main thing I took off Ford is being available. He's there all the time. Great leader, like I said, being availability is the biggest thing.
What's it been like for you guys here with this celebration so far?
Me myself, I've been loving it. I mean, meeting all the new guys.
Seeing everybody again. And
yes, sir.
Meeting the new team and stuff.
Yes, sir. And, just all, and everybody still look like they can run the rock and play the game. They stayed in shape for the whole 25 years.
Short pickup for Brady Oliveira on that one.
You know, when I've got Kelvin standing beside me,
yeah.
I feel like I'm back in the huddle 25 years ago. If I had Vince Danielson on the other side, Garcia in front of us.
Look at those numbers for Calvin. Over 9,000 yards. How many of those do you credit to your fullback?
I give him 60%.
Oh, there you go.
I'd have been happy with 40, so thank you.
That's not a bad number.
Now, I'll tell you what, you could bet on death, taxes, and Kelvin Anderson going over 1,000 yards every year.
Yes, sir. It was a wonderful feeling. I pride myself in that, and being available, like I said earlier, I got that from you being available, just teaching me the ropes of being there for the team.
Fumble out of the hands of Kenny Lawler, but the Bombers are there to scoop that up. Who else? I mean, you talked about Dwayne, but who else helped you sort of settle in here?
Well, coming in, I had met a couple guys from Birmingham when the CFL was in the States.
Okay.
From Fred Childress to Eddie Davis, Steve Anderson. I met those guys in Birmingham, and yeah, so I knew them, and that was the day Roy Shivers gave me the call to come to Calgary. So I already knew that those guys was there, so I was pretty happy getting on the plane.
Was that an automatic for you when you got that opportunity?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We got Drew Brown here, 2nd and 2 on the Calgary 16. They'll hand it off to Oliveira. And that's 2 yards. They're not going to get it. You said, you know, opportunity to meet a bunch of the new guys. This team right now with Kadeem Carey and Dietrich Mills, they got a pretty good 1-2 punch at running back, don't they?
Yes, they do. I'm really not familiar with any of these guys.
Yeah.
But as I'm sitting there watching today, I think they have a lot to build on, and the future seems like it should be bright for them.
Yeah, a couple good running backs to build on. For you guys, back to that 98 team. For you, what was the most special thing about that group? Maybe during the time, or now that you can look back and sort of take a trip down memory lane, is there something that really stands out?
The camaraderie. Like I said, I think I came here in '96, and that team was basically stuck together from '96 till '98.
Yep.
And that was the year everybody was basically getting out of their contract. But from '96 to '98, we was solid. And we won a lot of games in '96 and '97. And it always puzzled me why we couldn't just get over the hump and win a championship. Because I feel like '96 and '97 teams were just as good as '98. But when the time came, we showed up, and '98 was a wonderful year for us.
Well, you got the job done for sure. Thanks a lot for popping by, man. Great to meet you. Great to see you guys together. And here's a look back at '98 and how that game ended. Field goal, knocking it home. The celebration was on, and they celebrated again tonight. There you are with the Grey Cup. Good look. Only on TSN and CTV, and there is Quick Six, well-known celebrity across the league, and returning from the 2-game injured list.
Yeah, undisclosed lower body injury for Quick Six.
It's Chelsea Drake, who looks after him here on game nights. But he's grinding it out, and he's back. Calgary Stampeders offense trying to do the same here. This game is 6-6 right now. Another tackle there for Kyrie Wilson.
Yeah, and we talked earlier about Wilson making his return. from that ruptured Achilles that cut short his 2022 season. But great, productive, energetic, athletic linebacker. Just such a great add-in when you look at guys like him coming back. Kenny Lawler coming back after missing the start of the year. A strong Winnipeg team getting stronger as the season goes forward.
Here's Mayer backpedaling. Bengleton, first catch of the game, tried to turn it back upfield. About a yard short, and Tommy Stevens immediately heading out on the field here.
Reggie Bengleton lined up on the inside. Here, just inside the hash mark, gets inside position, turns his defender around. And it had Adam Big Hill guessing as he's trying to keep an eye on the quarterback, be aware of where the receiver's going.
Bengleton leads the team in catches and yards, closing in on 600. 3rd and 1 on the Calgary 49. This will be a big stop for the Bombers defense. Stevens trying to push it ahead. A flag as he does find the room and picks up the first down.
And you always think of these short yardage plays as kind of a race at the line of scrimmage. Which team can kind of get across first.
On the Winnipeg defensive line. It's a 5-yard penalty. It's a first down for Calgary.
But I appreciated the patience of Tommy Stevens on that play, kind of feeling it out as you'll see him slide to his left a little bit, recognize where's that soft spot, got to get there, instead of that panic just bursting forward into a massive body.
Sort of just a little shuffle, kind of waiting to see where things opened up.
Yeah, and that's understanding the defensive front and where your seam's going to be.
So a fresh set of downs from the 54, and here goes Kadeem Carey, and he's got a first down. Well, Dedrick Mills, rather, into the game, and Mills with the best carry of this ball game for Calgary so far. That one goes for 14.
Yeah, gets a couple of blocks on that right side from his receivers in motion. Mills takes advantage, just hitting that one north-south. Nice pick up there for the red and white.
Talked about, you know, maybe Drew Brown having an opportunity to find a job. Dedrick Mills has put together a really nice resume as a backup, if you want to call him that, here with the Calgary Stampeders. There, throwing this time over the middle. That one hops into Bengleton, who went down to try to get it, but couldn't hang on.
Yeah, another one where you'd like to see him just be able to step into that and put a little bit more air underneath that football to give Bengleton a chance.
Yeah, Bengleton was there, right? He had him.
Yeah, and you'll again see, I believe it was Cam Lawson closing on him.
Just force him enough to the left to take away that ability to put enough juice on it.
Yeah, like to really step into the throw.
So it sets up a 2nd and 10 here on the Bomber 43. Tommy Lee Lewis at the top of your screen. Mayer looks to his left, throws in that direction, and has a completion to Odoms Dukes for the first time tonight. But that will once again bring up 3rd down, as it's well short of what they needed, and Paredes will be called into work for a 3rd time tonight.
And one of the things over the last couple of years opposing teams have talked about in facing the Winnipeg Blue Bombers is your limited margin for error. You know, and you think a little bit in this game about the Stamps maybe having some drives cut short here. Good to put points on the board, but at some point you got to score some majors.
45-yard attempt for Paredes. And that one off the uprights. He had hit 20 in a row. And this one, no good. Streak over. And the game remains tied at 6. Paredes, so good all year. Just missed it. Big comeback victory for Winnipeg last week. This was the touchdown that put them up on top. And Kenny Lawler would describe this to us after as routine. What do you think, Dwayne? Is this routine?
Well, routine in the way that, you know, the thing that stands out to me when I watch Kenny Lawler is I think that the guy is just ridiculously competitive, right? And will not be beaten. The 50-50 ball, contested catch.
Get it to Dembski. And Dembski, about 7 or 8 on the play.
You watch that catch, and he starts off, he's on the inside of the defender. He's got to fight over top of him, using one arm to hold him off, the other arm to go get the football. And yeah, I guess in a way for Kenny Lawler,
yeah,
that has become routine over the last 3 seasons in the Canadian Football League.
And just another big piece. This Winnipeg offense was still really good before he was eligible to play again. And now it's just been taken to another level entirely. Oliveira, he's got the first down and more, takes it out to the 45-yard line. 8 yards there for Brady Oliveira, and he's already at 58 on 7 carries in this ball game.
Yeah. People talk all the time about this desire to establish the run, establish the line of scrimmage. At the start of the game, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers certainly have done that. And, you know, as effective as we've seen Drew Brown be throwing the football, running really the entire offense, the fact is it's got to give him some comfort to have Brady Oliveira and the offensive line doing what they're doing early and knowing the impact that that's going to have on Calgary's front.
Really nice luxury to have. Now he's got Schoen. That's the first catch of the game for Dalton Schoen. And he gets involved as well. 5th different player to catch a ball from Brown so far.
And Dalton Schoen, who comes into this game as Winnipeg's leading receiver. 37 catches on the day, but you see those numbers. You know, I know you were marveling, 27 games.
And 21 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Hey, come on.
That is what we call Stiegel-esque.
Handed back into the belly of Oliveira, and he has just enough for a Winnipeg first down. Takes him over 60 yards on the night. Averaging just over 78 coming into this game. So a really nice first half here for number 20.
And, you know, I obviously have a reputation as being a little bit of a draft junkie when it comes to the Canadian Football League. And just looking back to think, Winnipeg got Brady Oliveira at the end of the 2nd round. And you know, you look at how valuable this guy has been to this team.
Brown looking down the field. That one deflected. Oh boy, Lawler almost was able to get one hand on that as well, but Nick Taylor there in coverage.
But is this where we say, well, he missed a routine catch?
I thought this was routine. You know what, though, when he turned here, I thought maybe for a second he was going to get it.
Yeah, fighting. Good job there by Nick Taylor, kind of keeping contact with the receiver. You know, not pushing him, not nudging him off course, but just kind of feeling exactly where he is. And when he sees Lawler go to lift his hands, he gets a hand there to make the play.
I'll bring up 2nd and 10. Bombers are 7 for 10 on 2nd down so far in the game. 4 receivers to the wide side right here for Brown. Now we've got flags as this ball is snapped right at midfield. I mean, both quarterbacks have had quite a bit of time so far in this ballgame. Not a lot of pressure really on either side of the ball.
Yeah.
Offside, Winnipeg, number 89. It's a 5-yard penalty. It's still going to be 2nd down.
Kenny Lawler. Not pleased with himself.
Keep an eye on the top of your screen. Kenny Lawler just getting a bit of an early jump here. Like he was suggesting maybe he couldn't hear that well.
It looked like he pointed to his
huddle.
helmet.
Yeah.
I do that every time. And anytime you make a mistake, no, it's can't hear anything. So 2nd and 15. What's Drew Brown got up his sleeve here? 3-man pressure. Dumps it off. Trying to get a few boxes. Rasheed Bailey. And he takes it back onto Calgary's side of the field, but not much further. And they'll be well short considering they were in a 2nd and 15 spot. Jamison will come out to boot it away.
And meanwhile, Cameron Judge in a little bit of distress out there on the field. The Stampeders' weak side linebacker.
He was questionable a couple of weeks ago to play, and to make it work. So as they take a look here at Cam Judge, we will step away. 6-6 late in the first half between the Bombers and Stamps. I'll be honest, that video kind of confuses me a little bit.
I find the song catchy, though.
Yeah, the song is catchy. I don't know if I would take the mission to Mars. Though. Somebody told me, you want to go to Mars?
Yeah,
I don't think I'd do it.
I'm good.
I like that movie, though. Martian. With Matt Damon.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
What? Oh, my goodness.
Sorry, man.
That's okay. I'll let it slide. Great movie. Sheen had one blocked earlier in this game. Gets this one away clean. A little lower kick. Lewis backpedaling. Takes it just inside the 10.
Great
has to step out immediately. Just 6 points tonight here for Calgary. Offense has been struggling a little bit as of late. For more on that, let's send it down to Farhan Lalji.
Guys, there's been a lot of conversation about conservative play calling offensively for Calgary. Dedrick Mills this week said on a local podcast he thought they might run the ball 35 times in this game. They've had 8 so far, so they got a ways to go to get there. And I asked Dave Dickinson, what's led to this? And part of it might be the fact that you're no longer the play caller. That responsibility's now gone to Mark Mueller. And I asked him, given the fact they're struggling, would you consider getting more involved? He said he doesn't want to do that. He'll be involved as he feels he's needed to be in order for the team to be successful. This is also the first year he's been the coach and GM. He says his days are completely full. He needs that responsibility to go to Mueller and Pat Delmonico. And there have been times in games where it's just been offensive line issues. A lot's been going on. Here they're pushing the field. They finally complete their second long ball of the game, something they didn't do last week at all.
Yeah, big completion here to Begelton for 31 yards, and that's the first time in a long time we were able to say that about this offense.
And Reggie Begelton, you can see him mid-stride. As we start on the free frame there, using that waggle to get up to full speed, get deep. And this time, if you watch Mayer in the pocket, he's got time to step in to deliver the football, gets it there without an issue.
Jake Mayer at 72 yards, 41 of those to Reggie Begelton. Only guy who's been targeted more this season, Trey Odom's Dukes. Now Kadeem Carey trying to bounce it out. Look at Bombers all over him. And eventually, he tries to push back towards the line of scrimmage. This might end up being a short loss on the play. But boy, Winnipeg didn't allow anything there for Kadeem Carey.
Yeah, absolutely no opportunities. You saw Brandon Alexander, the free safety. I mean, that's not secondary run support. That's primary run defense from Alexander. Just not letting Carey get north-south at all.
We've hit 3 minutes remaining here in the second quarter. Deadlocked at 6 between the Stamps and the Bombers.
Coming up at the half, we're going to break down the outstanding play of Brady Oliveira, the 2 QBs. What is it, Lapo?
It's cold. Oh, it's cold. It's so cold. So cold.
What is wrong with you and Farhan?
So cold.
Honestly.
So cold. So
That's hilarious. There's Mayer looking down the field again, and that one in and out of the hands of Tommy Lee Lewis, who tried to come back to that football. It is chilly here, though.
Bit of a missed opportunity here. Lewis lining up on the outside. Here, just running the rail down the sideline, using his speed, push deep. A little bit of a throw behind here, tries to work back to it.
He's got some jets, doesn't he?
And the defense respects it. You saw the space he got as he sort of pushed DeMario Houston off. But just couldn't hold on to that football as he came back to it.
Cody Grace gets it away. Taken just outside the 30 by Greg McCray. And he is driven back just shy of the 40. So yes, lots to discuss coming up at the half with Kate and the guys, and not too much through the air on either side so far in this game. Just 55 yards from Brown, 72 for Jake Mayer, but Brady Oliveira kind of the story of this game so far, outside of the kickers, of course, who've contributed all the points.
And both these teams, you can see that desire to try and get the run game going a little bit and build off of it.
Here's Oliveira again, another big push ahead. First down for Winnipeg, and Brady Oliveira over 70 yards in the first half.
And I'm just going to take the opportunity right here as, again, you see offensive line doing a nice job And the receiver's motioning in there to lead block for him as well.
Brown, lots of time. Far side, almost intercepted. Probably should have been. Roberson can't believe it. He's frustrated as he had about as good a look as you're going to get at a pick.
Andrew Brown this time looking out wide. You see that matchup again, Lawler versus Roberson. You see Roberson, again, former college quarterback the entire time. He's taking a peek. He sees what's going on in the backfield. And as Lawler keeps running, he recognizes where the ball is coming to, gets to the spot. Just misses there on the catch.
Well, Drew Brown gets away with one right there. Now Calgary's going to bring a little bit of pressure. Brown in trouble, and he's going to be taken down. First time today, it's Titus Wall who gets home his second sack of the season.
And Titus Wall did a really nice job timing this up. You're going to see him coming from the bottom of your screen, working his way up, and then just hitting it with speed to come off the edge. And that's a tough one for Jermarcus Hardrick. He knows he's coming, but again, that's like a receiver using the waggle. If you're flat-footed as a defender, there's no way you're going to be able to cover that. In this instance, it's Wall pre-snap motion. Hardrick can't move to the ball snap. At that point, Wall was pretty much by it.
Sheen, oh boy, that one was almost blocked as well. 53-yarder. Lewis takes it just outside the 11. A little bit of a hesitation, trying to find some space. Takes it all the way back out on a 26-yard return that came all the way across the field. Just a matter of time until this guy breaks one. He's dynamic.
Watch Charlie Moore, former University of Calgary linebacker, coming up the middle, who almost gets his left hand. And that Jemison Shan kick.
Working there against Jesse Briggs. Got around him. And Shane got it off just in time. So 98 seconds to work for Jake Mayer. 7 of 11 so far in the ball game. Odom's Dukes will slide into the slot to the right of his quarterback. Mayer looking to his running back out of the backfield. Dedrick Mills on a low throw with Wilson in coverage, couldn't haul it in.
And Willie Jefferson's not going to get credited with a knockdown for this one, so he won't add to his always impressive totals in that category. But you watch Jefferson loop to the inside, left side of your screen. Beats Bryce Bell inside and completely disrupts that play.
Kind of forced Mayer to lean to his left as he threw that, didn't he? Yeah, right there.
He's basically trying to get out of reach of those long arms.
So 2nd and 10. Mayer steps up. Is he going to take off? He has to now. Jake Mayer looking for the first down, wrapped up and taken down shy of it. Cramdy was there to make sure he couldn't scamper for a first down pickup. Had to settle for 6.
And you'll see Mayer, the first part of this, he's thinking about still trying to throw the ball, keeping his eyes downfield, but at this point, gotta go over the line of scrimmage and on his own trying to get that first down.
So a 2-and-out for the Stampeders. Greg McCrae will await this kick around his own 25. Just a second 2-and-out of the game for Calgary. Cody Grace averaging just over 49 yards per punt so far this season. He stands in there. Gets it away cleanly. McCrae has to hustle up underneath this, bobbles it, but it'll be scooped up anyway. Boy, McCrae got lucky there. Nick Hallett happened to be standing right next to him, and he got his hands on that one to look after it.
No yards. Calgary number 32. It's a 15-yard penalty. It's going to be first down for Winnipeg.
McCrae kind of just misjudged that one and then had to run up under the ball off of his hands. And you'll see Hallett, 21, slide across here and pick it up. That could have been a whole lot of trouble.
A good heads-up play there by Hallett. Terrific special teamer. University of Toronto product. Scooping that one up.
So with 55 seconds left here, Drew Brown doesn't have to go that far to get within field goal range for Sergio Castillo. We'll get into Bailey. Bailey, a little bit of help from his offensive line, pushing ahead. Decent pickup on first down.
Yeah, nice inside counter there. Just a different way to get Bailey involved in that run game. We saw him taking the sweep wide a little bit earlier.
Bailey had career highs last year. Dembski had career highs last year as this offense just continues to get deadlier and deadlier. Just over 30 points per game this season, second in the league. Brady Oliveira trying to find a first down, and I think he's going to be stopped short with 31 seconds on the clock. Oliveira, that's his 10th carry of the ball game. Already over 70 yards. Last week, 14 carries, 110 yards. So, what do you think here, Dwayne? Third. It's like third and about 2, hey? It's
certainly enough time here if they choose to go for it, but you don't want to miss that opportunity.
I'd like to welcome our viewers from TSN4. We just wrapped up watching some ATP tennis out of Cincinnati. Tie game as the clock ticks down late in the quarter.
Time count violation. Winnipeg, number 18. It's a 10-yard penalty. It's still going to be third down.
I'll take that time count, let it run down. And on 3rd and 2, Beggleton and Tommy Lee Lewis await this kick.
Timer, please put 11 seconds back on the game clock, please. 11 seconds.
Calgary, considering where their offense has been at, I think they have to be happy with what they've got defensively so far in this game against Winnipeg. Drew Brown is 9 of 14 for 63 yards. Winnipeg has run the ball extremely well, but here we sit, tied at 6 for a 3-win Calgary team. Has to be some sort of positive spin on that at halftime. And now Lewis takes it at the 11 as the clock ticks down. A flag on the play has opened up a little bit of room for him to take this back just shy of the 30. Winnipeg's been able to keep Tommy Lee Lewis in check so far in this football game.
During the return, illegal block, Calgary 18. That penalty is declined. It's the end of the half.
End of the first half. Tied at 6, couple of field goals from Castillo, couple of field goals from Paredes. Jake Mayer 7 of 12 for 72 yards in this game, but did get the ball down the field a couple of times. Connected with 5 different receivers in this game. Reggie Beggleton had that big one for 31 yards, and Jake Mayer is now with our Farhan Lodi.
Jake, last week you got behind big early. Now you're in this at 6-6 right now, and feels like a playoff game right now with this weather. Just how do you like your chances now going into the second half?
I love them. I love our chances. We're competing really hard. We're leaving some plays out there, whether it's me or something else or whatever it might be. We're leaving a few plays out there. We made a couple of big plays. We got points. I mean, we're doing the best we can. This wind is not obviously helping some of the shots down the field, but we'll see what happens in the second half. We'll be all right.
You are getting more protection than you have been in the last couple of weeks, and you even took a couple deep shots. Yeah. How much more comfortable are you feeling about that part of the offense?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love having those opportunities. We hit a couple of them, and we left some on the table. So as long as we can be more high percentage, I really like our chances.
Jake, thanks for this.
Thanks, man.
All right, let's send it back to the studio. Kate, I've got blankets waiting. I've got hot chocolate cocoa. It's all on the way.
Oh, Farhan, we are so concerned about your temperature right now. That is so good to hear. Alongside David Sanchez, Jim Barker, and Paul Lafolis. Nice and warm and toasty in the studio tonight. But you know what? I get it. It's a 6-6 football game. But there have been bright spots for both of these teams. We'll talk about Jake Mayer more in just a moment. But let's start with Brady Oliveira. And I think a lot of people coming into this game run the football. That's exactly what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have been doing, especially with no Zach Collaros. You're going to go to your run game, and Brady's been fantastic in the first half.
I love watching what they do. They have 13 first downs. in the first half. 7 of them, they've got greater than 7 yards. They have a 12-yard gain, 10-yard gain, 9-yard gain, 4 7-yard gains, and an 8-yard gain. They are controlling the line of scrimmage. They've given Brady inside runs. They give him some speed sweeps on the outside. They've given him a couple of wrong way runs, and he made a great block that Coach Barker talked about. He's real excited about. He made a couple of nice blocks on the wide receiver speed sweeps. They do a great job of burning clock when they can put yourself in second and short all game, and then they can take those occasional shots. Now, they haven't finished in the end zone, guys. 0 for 2 in the red zone, so they got to make sure that they get into the end zone, right? But he's done such a great job. He's so fun to watch, and he can use his legs and bounce and claw and keep going, and I'm sure you're going to see more of him in the second half.
Well, you talk about getting into the end zone, and that's exactly what Dwayne said on the broadcast for the Calgary Stampeders. I mean, the runs are great. Rene Paredes can step in and make these field goals. At some point, you're going to have to make a major. But for Jake Maier, I mean, the stats aren't jumping off the sheet right now. 7 of 12 for 72. But at least he's found Reggie Bagelton downfield a little bit, and we saw him throw the ball much more than he did against British Columbia.
Yeah, and look, there's been he hasn't been great this year. A lot of it to me, and I still believe in Jake. I do. I think he has what it takes to be a good quarterback in this league. I mean, and Dave Dickinson thinks so I trust his opinion also. But look, what I saw in the first half, and Farhan talked about conservative play calling. You saw a couple shots there. The big shot, that was max protection to Bagelton down the field. He's got to get some help from Lewis there. But to me, when I watch Jake, it's not that Jake doesn't have the talent, isn't making the right reads, and he's had a bunch of different receivers, and in key parts of big games, he's not made the right decisions, and of course that looks bad. They've lost games, and that's why they're in the situation they're in right now, Calgary is, and that's why he's in the situation. But in regards to just talent,
it's Labor Day. He's got to get out of it in a hurry.
Jake Maier has the talent. I agree. And he said it. I mean, he said whether it's me or whether it's us, we got to do it. But I still believe in Jake. I just think, and this will be key. Here we go again. Tied at halftime. Let's see how Jake comes out, and let's see what decisions he makes in key parts when it comes to the fourth quarter here.
Well, it's almost mirrored games between these two quarterbacks. And Drew Brown last week, we saw him light it up, throwing the ball deep, throwing the ball accurate. Tonight, not so much. The first drive, he throws 2 completions, drills the ball, hits him in the chest, and they move the ball down and kick a field goal. But throughout the game, even short completions like this one, he throws it a little off, brings the receiver back to the line of scrimmage, and they're just not getting the yards they were getting. Here he's going deep, and again, he's just, it's not necessarily inaccurate, but Calgary does a nice job of blanketing Lawler. So, he's 9 of 14, 63 yards. It's just a very type of thing. And with Brady Oliveira running the way he's running, they should be giving him the ball because their passing game isn't giving them much. And again, I think for them to play at the level they want to play at, he's got to pick up the tempo.
JB, after 3 quarters last week, I would have signed over my franchise to Drew Brown, but that's why I would never be a good GM.
Total difference when you start the game.
And also probably why I have trouble with relationships. I always fall in love too quick, Kate. I fall in love too quick.
I am not saying anything about your stunning bride right now. Not a thing.
Not talking about you, babe.
By the way, JB, you've had mushy and you've had meh. Meh. Here's the first half highlight.
Dustin Crum, quite the story in Ottawa.
Dive deep ball to the end zone. Jump ball! Touchdown, Red Blacks!
This guy said, hello, Canada. I can play some football.
Big run, Dustin Crum to give the Ottawa Red Blacks the victory!
Crum Dog Millionaire. Crum Dog Millionaire, man. Get her done.
Well, 6 games so far for for Dustin Crum, and overall he has been impressive as we take a look at the completion percentage leader so far in the CFL with minimum 50 completions. Crum in third spot, 113 at just over 70%. First in CFL yards per rushing attempt, by the way, and 7.9. We know he loves to use his feet as well, and it's going to be a great Eastern battle tomorrow. The Red Blacks have lost 3 straight. Can they finally get it together against the Montreal Alouettes, who will be starting Caleb Evans in place of Cody Fajardo? You can see it Saturday, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. So that a great East battle, but of course we have a great West showdown going on in Calgary. A 6-6 football game. Some meh stats coming up with JB. A lot of action on the ground, not so much through the air right now, JB.
This is one of those Western battles. Winnipeg with more rushing yards than passing, and Calgary 1 of 9 on second down conversions. Throwing those 5-yard passes on 2nd and 10, you just aren't going to convert. And they need to get that up, and they're going to have a shot. It's 6-6. This is anybody's ball game.
And look at those red zone numbers. 0 for 0, 0 for 2. That's got to change. We'll get you back to McMahon right after this.
We've got a defensive battle between the Stampeders and the Bombers. Brady Oliveira has been a bright spot, and he's with our Farhan Lalji.
Brady, points haven't been hard to come by for your offense. 6-6 here. How comfortable are you in this environment?
I mean, it's good. We knew this was going to be a tough game. Whenever we play Calgary, it's a tough physical football game. They're well coached. We've got a great D, so we got to go out there and play in good 30 minutes and go win a half.
What about your own role in all of this? It's a windy day. It's cold. You guys have rushed for more yards than you've passed for. You're already over 70 yards. Just how much are you enjoying this?
Bully ball, man. I want this team to lean on me, lean on the guys up front, and let's go, man. Let's make them want to tackle. Let's make them want to play football. Let's make them earn their paycheck. Let's go play bully ball for 30 minutes and see who wins the game. Thank you.
Bully ball. I like it. It sounds physical. 6-6 as we get set to kick off the third quarter. And it is chilly here. It feels like mid to late October in Calgary today, which is very surprising considering we're sitting here in the middle of August. But Brady Oliveira, excellent. 10 carries, 73 yards. The guy is averaging almost 80 yards per game so far. He's got 4 games of 100 yards or more. Paredes will get us started. Greg McCray waits, takes it at the 21, and we're underway. Third quarter at McMahon. McCray nowhere to go, back outside the 35, and Brady Oliveira, he came into this game talking a lot about Drew Brown getting his second career start, but Brady Oliveira, the star offensively in the first half of the ball game for either side. And Calgary actually, I thought, did a pretty good job holding him to 73 yards, averaging 7.3 yards per carry, which is a bump on his 5.6 yards per carry so far this season coming into the ball game. And he did actually have 1 carry for 27 yards, which was his second longest of the entire season. So fake the handoff here. Brown will be throwing that one in behind Rashid Bailey. And that falls incomplete. This is the type of season that Brady Oliveira is having so far. And you look among what some of the other great Canadians have done. This is the pace that he is on right now. Just over 1,400 yards would be just the 3rd running back to accomplish that feat. Of course, John Cornish here in Calgary did it twice, but Brady's just really stepped up after, taking over full-time last season, hit 1,000 yards on his final rush of the year, and now looking even better this year. Here's a pass to Dembski on second down, and that'll be stopped a couple yards short of a first down. So Winnipeg likely punting here. And welcome back to the booth for Dwayne Ford, who was honored with the Grey Cup team at halftime.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
We're talking about Brady Oliveira and just how impressive he was in the first half, how impressive he's been all season.
Yeah, he really has. Just the level of consistency that he's managed to achieve now in his 4th season in the Canadian Football League.
Hey, did you go elevator or stairs on the way back up here?
You can probably tell by the way I'm huffing and puffing that it was stairs both ways today.
I was wondering, I was going to say, usually they don't run to a mic, but they always would never say don't run 50 stairs to a mic. But yeah, here's halftime today, the 25th anniversary of the 98 That must have been a pretty cool moment for
Well, yeah, I mean, I describe this team as honestly the best team, the best collection of guys, top to bottom, and best as a group that I had the opportunity to play with over the course of my career. And so for this team to have achieved its ultimate goal, winning the Grey Cup, was obviously very special. But to get together with so many guys a quarter of a century later, maybe even more special.
There's Kadeem Carey, and he got a decent pickup there. We got a little bit of a flashback to somebody else too here. Look at the padding, hey?
Oh, the old days, right? Everybody now wants the smallest pads possible, but back then, yeah, we'd load them up. Here's me going deep using my 5 flat speed to torch a defender. And I gave you guys the trivia question earlier. Right? Last touchdown of the 1900s.
That was the last touchdown of 1999.
Yes, sir.
Mark it down. Trivia question at some point. 2nd and 5 for Mayer. Near side, incomplete. Looking to go back to Kadeem Carey again. And so after Winnipeg drops a 2-and-out, Calgary comes out and does the same thing. And both these quarterbacks trying to find their game here still.
Yeah, as well as the run game seems to have gone for both teams. Some ups and downs when it comes to throwing the football. And we're seeing Jake Mayer, well, not necessarily being sacked a lot or hit a lot, certainly being affected a lot in the pocket today.
He has been hurried a few times tonight. Cody Grace. Just inside the 25. That's going to back McCray way up. That one was into the wind, a 50-yarder into a strong wind. Excellent kick by Grace. And McCray turns it back upfield for a few yards on the return. There's that 1998 team. Jeff Garcia, who we'll talk to a little bit later on, with about 30 guys from that team. Well, for the first time since joining the Bombers, Zach Collaros is unavailable due to being injured. And here's the play that had happened on him. It was an interception that went back the other way, but as he was falling, he threw that ball and then was rolled up on right there. And certainly seems to be in good spirits here tonight, helping out his young fellow quarterback. But he's been excellent since joining Winnipeg and has managed to stay healthy. Prukop in the game here now. And fumbles the ball, turns it around and hops on it immediately. That was Prukop and Greg McCray in the backfield, which is certainly a little bit of a different look.
Yeah, and you get the sense by the issue with the exchange that this is an option type play where Prukop's reading what's going on, deciding whether he's giving or keeping. Looked like keep. Oh, I want to give.
It looked like he changed his mind at the last second, didn't he?
And McCray was a little too far to secure that football.
So Drew Brown back into the game here, but now after a 5-yard loss, 2nd and 15 for Winnipeg. An offense that has just been dynamite, even with Drew Brown coming into that game in which Collaros was injured. Has been slowed down so far.
Time count violation
by Calgary.
Winnipeg number 6. It's a 5-yard penalty. It's still going to be 2nd down.
Now a time count against Brown, and that'll back him up a little bit further. Here's what they're missing in Zach Collaros, and he's just been, I mean, back-to-back MOP, and he's probably the front runner again this year.
Yeah, and you look at it. You mentioned it moments ago. I know Kate mentioned it off the top of the show.
11:26 on the clock.
You know, everybody's concern with Zach when you go back to 2019 was his injury history and the fact that, you know, here we are kind of a few seasons later, and this is the first start he's had to miss due to injury.
2nd and 20. Brown out to his left, dumps it off to his running back. Well, that is dropped by Brady Oliveira, and that'll bring up 3rd and 20. And once again, they'll have to kick this ball away.
And obviously Oliveira in this instance, gets his hands up, a ball that you look at and think he should catch. But I think there was a moment there where Brady Oliveira honestly was thinking that Drew Brown is going to tuck this ball and run. And then all of a sudden it's coming at him.
Oliveira had caught 19 of the 24 passes thrown in his direction coming into the game. 274 yards and a touchdown. A lot of receivers would be happy with those numbers. Here's Tommy Lee Lewis. Lewis turning it up the field, finding a little bit of space down to the 50. Best return of the game for Lewis, still going inside the 40. And a spark from special teams for the Calgary Stampeders. Tommy Lee Lewis. His longest punt return of the season goes for 45 yards, and the Stampeders, excellent field position here in the third quarter. Longest return of the season for Tommy Lee Lewis.
Yeah, and the thing that stands out about this guy is you watch his path is the change of direction. When he goes north-south, that's like a 90-degree cut at full speed. And just turns it up. No need to decelerate and then reaccelerate. Just absolutely flying, makes those moves at top velocity.
44-yard burst puts Calgary inside the Bomber 40. Kadeem Carey on first down gets close to half of what they need. About 4 yards on that first down touch.
A nice addition to this lineup, and especially when you consider how good Peyton Logan has been for them as a return man over the last couple of years. He goes down with injury. Even a guy like Malik Henry, who had been a return guy before for them, out of the lineup with injury. Definitely needing a guy in that spot. Clark Barnes had been doing the kickoff returns. Tommy Lee Lewis comes in to handle punt returns, and certainly having an impact here.
Calgary just 1 for 10 on second down conversions. Bombers will bring some heat. Mayer gets it away. Waiting there for it was Beggleton. Still no signal, and they're going to say incomplete.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. Third down.
Ooh.
Close, but tough to argue against a trap here. You think he gets his hands under initially, but there you see the ball is pinned against the ground so quickly that I think that's the right call from the officials.
So Dave Dickinson has decided to throw a challenge flag here. Talked about it a little bit earlier this week with him because he is just 1 for 7 on challenges.
Calgary is challenging the ruling on the last play. They believe it was a completed pass. The play will be reviewed.
Yeah, he said earlier, he goes, some of those are in overtime, some of them are late in games, but I'm just trying to. This is a big moment here in this football.
Well, yeah, and when coaches decide to use their challenges, it really is such a situational and feel for the game thing. And I suspect that what Dave Dickinson is looking at here is his team with an opportunity moving the ball down the field, given a short field by their special teams, an opportunity to get a touchdown rather than settling for a field goal at this point. You don't necessarily know against Winnipeg how many opportunities you're going to have. Again,
what do you think?
I think Beggleton got his hands underneath it and initially catches the ball. Like, the ball doesn't one hop coming in. He catches it, but I think because he's falling forward and the ball is touching the ground so quickly, I don't think that you're going to see this call overturned. But as I've said, where Dave Dickinson is 1 and 7 on challenges, I'm kind of 1 and 7 on determining how challenges should go. So,
well, once again though, we talked about Jake Mayer, not being sacked yet, but that was Jeff Coat, I believe, in his face there.
Yeah, certainly
caused an issue with
the flight of the football. Yeah.
So you saw Beggleton when he got up, he was kind of shaking his head like saying that he had it, but I think you kind of broke it down the best there, 40. That got his hands under it, but might be a tough one to overturn. Let's get an answer.
Upon further review, the ruling on the field stands. Calgary is charged with their first team timeout, and it's going to be third down.
1 for 8 on challenges now this year for Dave Dickinson.
I got one, though, so there's that.
That is true. Well done, sir.
If we're looking for positives.
Yeah. Somebody got it right.
It'll be Rene Paredes again.
Hit the upright earlier after starting the game 2 for 2. This one to put Calgary on top from 40 yards right down the middle. No doubt about it for Paredes, and Calgary leading 9-6. All Paredes and all Castillo offensively so far. An adventure across the country awaits. Do you know who you take on that race? Who would you go? You take your wife on that one? Or?
No.
No?
No. I probably should have pretended to think about that longer.
Yeah. No, I'll also sewer myself and say there's zero chance my wife would come with me on that trip if we were trying to win. This one's up for grabs. Falls incomplete. Drew Brown, 10 of 17. What are you seeing from Brown, or what are you not seeing from Brown, or what do you think? What's the vibe tonight with him? Yeah,
it's funny. I think that sometimes expectations become so elevated.
Yeah.
Right? Based on a small sample size. And I do think that Drew Brown is and will continue to be a good quarterback in this league, and you know, has a very bright future, obviously. But Calgary's defense is doing a pretty good job in terms of defending against the pass. That's part of what has allowed Winnipeg to run the ball effectively.
Now he's in trouble, gets it away, finds his running back Brady Oliveira, who tries to bully his way ahead, but 2 Stampeders are there to stop him on that one. Brown started the game 3 of 4, but has since now gone 8 for 15. Once again, they'll have to kick it away.
And a big stop here. You see the pocket collapsing on Brown a little bit, and he's got to settle for that route that's well short of the first down markers.
So 3rd and 4, and quickly Jamison Sheen gets that one away, bounces just outside the 20. Tommy Lee Lewis one-hands it just outside the 10, wrapped up immediately and taken down. Winnipeg's defense about to trot back out here with Evan Holm, who had his first CFL interception last week. For more on 31, let's send it down to Farhan Lalji.
Yeah, guys, it's always been an uphill climb for Evan Holm, whether he was in college or trying to make it here in the CFL. He never has actually ever looked the part of a professional football DB, or even one in college. Generally smaller in stature, somewhat slight, and people wind up being surprised with just how fast and how aggressive and competitive the young man is. He made an impression when he got here late in training camp a year ago on Mike O'Shea. There was a post corner route that he wound up covering against Winnipeg's top receivers. O'Shea said, "Who is that guy?" Had them circle him on camera. And certainly this year, when he became a starter early on, he got tested a lot with bigger and stronger and more physical targets. They were always surprised with how he was there and able to make the play. He's one of the league leaders in knockdowns right now. And he says, the only thing good about knockdowns is it means you're that much closer to catching the ball. I need to intercept it. The one thing O'Shea also likes, he's true to himself, which to Holm means he doesn't celebrate. He doesn't like it. He doesn't want to trash talk. He doesn't want to draw attention to himself. Sometimes he'll do it with his teammates, but he says, I'm not comfortable with it. I want to stay reserved and just make plays. You know that would endear him to O'Shea.
Just go out and play.
That's it. All business, and Evan Holm has made that great impression.
Not an easy defense to break into as a regular, but he has accomplished that. Mayer gets it away over the middle, and that is a completion for a first down. Holm is there with Rose on the tackle, and that is Markeith Amble's first catch since rejoining the Calgary Stampeders, and it's a big one.
Yeah, moving the sticks there again. Jake Mayer doing a nice job on that one with pressure in his face. Markeith Ambles, we talked about him earlier, adding another familiar veteran presence to that receiving corps. Ambles now on his second stint with Calgary after 2 stints with Toronto.
Yeah, his first one 18 to 2021, and they'll hand it off again on first down. Stretch it out a little bit, a couple yards on that carry. Big Hill among others in on the tackle.
And Kadeem Carey looking to try and get things rolling here. I know Dedrick Mills has maybe had the bigger Calgary runs on the day so far.
Yeah, Kadeem Carey, 7 carries now, averaging just over 3 yards per carry. Dedrick Mills did have that 14-yarder at one point. Carey stays in there. Just his second game back and just his 3rd game of the season. Stands in next to Jake Mayer. We'll get whistles before this play will happen.
Timeout. Calgary.
So it's Calgary's offense. Talking about this at halftime. Calgary's offense in their last 3 games and now this one. So this will be the 4th game. 1 offensive touchdown. And it was Tommy Stevens on a short yardage push ahead. They've got a special teams touchdown that the Argos sort of bobbled and allowed into their own end zone. And that's it. We're closing in on, we're over 3.5 games here with 1 offensive touchdown.
Yeah, and what it speaks to is...
Timer, please put 6 minutes, 14 seconds on the game clock. 6:14.
You know, we heard Farhan talk a little bit earlier about them sometimes being a little bit conservative in terms of their play selection. And we mentioned the challenges they've had at being able to consistently push the ball down the field. And, you know, I think back to the days of Rich Stubler as a defensive coordinator in the CFL, where he would let teams nickel and dime their way down the field, but on the premise that it's very hard to put together 10 perfect plays in a row, and that's what Calgary's trying to do.
Here's Mayer, 2nd and 8. This time he'll take a shot down the field. Broken up. Home came over. And a flag at the end of the play. They were looking deep to Beggleton. And I believe that contact has drawn a flag on the guy we were just talking about in Evan Holm.
Yeah, Holm definitely demonstrating some range. Peeling off of his receiver to get over the top here. The thing I immediately wonder about is, by the time Holm comes in, was this ball catchable?
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 31. It's a 15-yard penalty. It's an automatic first down for Calgary.
So they're calling the nature of the hit. And you can see there he did clip Reggie Beggleton's head. As he came in, you see Beggleton's head snap left to right on your screen as Holm comes across.
Kind of got his arms. He kind of just got his arms, really. And he
no,
like
and I think the body causes the whipping of the head. I think you're absolutely right. That angle showed it.
Yeah, that kind of looked like he was going for the ball and ran through Beggleton's arm and sort of spun him around. So a tough call there, but 1st and 10 for Calgary. Mayer, he's going to look down the field again for Michelle. He lays out and gets it. Are you kidding me? What a play! Markin Michelle, one of his best of the season.
Well, and I immediately think back to the graphic we had earlier showing that Jake Mayer had more of his passes dropped than any quarterback in the Canadian Football League. Well, this is his receivers trying to make up for that. Markin Michelle goes and gets this one.
45-yard strike to Markin Michelle. Had a 95-yarder earlier in the season. Biggest play of the game for Calgary. Into the red zone they go, first time tonight. Handed off to Kadeem Carey, and he is wrapped up almost immediately. And a little fired up coming up into that panel. Is that Kyrie Wilson who came around the edge there?
I believe so, yeah.
That's a great play by Kyrie Wilson.
Shooting in there.
Wilson's 5th tackle of the game.
Yeah, and Wilson really finding his stride quickly. It looked like there's a receiver blocking off the edge. And Wilson powers his way through.
Has a special teams tackle tonight as well. Sets up a 2nd and 9 from the Winnipeg 11 for Jake Mayer, trying to extend this lead and find the end zone for the first time tonight. Has a man dropped wide open. Hakunovanu had it, and he was probably thinking touchdown, but it falls incomplete. That's a killer.
You're going to see Hakunovanu from the outside is just going to work underneath here. The other 2 receivers push downfield. That's what creates all the space for him. That one off the heels of the hands, off the body, into the ground. A missed opportunity for the Calgary Stampeders.
Calgary leading the league in dropped passes. And that one huge, as instead they have to settle for 3. The good news is they lead 12-6. But a tough look for Hakunovanu. Jake Mayer can't believe it. Time now for your Coors Light moment of chill, and first time we've done this one this year.
Well, it certainly is, and going back to the 90s, this is a tradition for the Stampeders O-linemen the day before games. Bocce, they split into two teams, split the O-line into two teams, they play. But with the 98 guys, some of whom, particularly Rocco Romano, the guy who introduced this to the group back in the early 90s. The old guys were playing the young guys. I will say the young guys won.
Really?
Yesterday. Showed the old guys a few tricks. And now the history lesson on this is we see some of the victors, Sean McEwen, Ryan Sevier, and others on the sidelines. The history lesson here is that pregame bocce, day before the game, the O-line used to play something called fat man football.
Okay.
It was typically a 3-on-3 game of football. Again, two teams of offensive linemen. They couldn't bend their legs in the game.
Here's Brown over, and that is broken up. Williams was there to step inside of Schoen, who only has one catch so far tonight. So then that eventually...
Well, there was... The game's got a little physical. We'll see Dalton Schoen here coming out of the slot. But the game's got too physical. I believe there was an injury to one of the offensive linemen.
Well, you can't get injured playing bocce, can you?
It's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. I believe Louis Cafazzo was the man who went down in a game of fat man football the day before a game, resulting in the offensive line moving to a less physical contest.
Winnipeg has missed on their last 6 second down conversions. Brown over the middle, down the field, and he's got a man down to the 40. It was Schoen who came back to that ball. Flag on the far side of the field, just inside the 40 after a 30-yard pass into the hands of Dalton Schoen.
Schoen coming out of the cluster here. Lined up as the widest man, but off the line.
Mask. Calgary number 3 will go up 15 yards from the end of the play. It's going to be first down for Winnipeg.
Right there, Dozier.
And interesting to see is that route combination from Winnipeg, basically two verticals going through the same lane. Defenders got to take the first one, which is what left Schoen open. So Schoen, he's basically following.
Dives underneath there. And
it's like the people in traffic when an ambulance goes by, and then they jump in behind the ambulance in the open space.
Now they'll toss it into the hands of Greg McCray. McCray takes it down inside the 20 on that first down carry, as they try to get McCray into the mix. 8 yards on that play, so second and extremely manageable.
Greg McCray, kind of the Swiss Army knife of this Winnipeg Blue Bombers offense, and a Blue Bombers offense that has quite a few versatile guys, but a natural running back who has really expanded his receiving skills since joining this team.
Third trip to the red zone today. They'll go with Brady Oliveira, bounces off one tackle, gets by Judge, and takes it down inside the 10. Now some pushing and shoving. And they separate them quickly. We're back to Oliveira, who had an excellent first half. That's his first carry of the second half.
He drops the shoulder and he gets rolling downhill here. Moving the pile in his desired direction.
That puts him at 80 yards even on the game, and has Winnipeg down to the 10. Coming into this game, firing along in the red zone at 69%. Had to settle for a couple of field goals so far. First and goal from the Calgary 10. Brown keeps it on the run to his right towards the end zone. Broken up by Dozier. Excellent play by Dozier to come across and save a touchdown.
And I know Dozier was one of the guys pointed out as being all over the field last week for the Calgary Stampeders, making plays defensively. Bottom left corner of your screen. Originally he's up on the flat, and then he kind of peels off as he sees where that ball is going. Micah always supplying the pressure.
Brown was looking for Wolotarski there. Dozier probably thought he should have held on to that one. That's why he was kind of shaking his head. But second goal from the Calgary 10. Looking for the first touchdown of the night is Brown. He's in trouble. Nowhere to go. Taken down. Calgary's defense gets there. Derek Wigan leading the way.
Most experienced guy on that Calgary Stampeders defense, Derek Wigan, 120 games in. Getting after it from that nose position. Former Queens Gales star. Just bowling his way through there.
So the Bombers, much like Calgary before them when they were in the red zone, will have to settle for a field goal attempt from Castillo. And Castillo puts it through. So Paredes leads Castillo 4-3 here late in the third quarter. We welcome our viewers from TSN 5 watching Premier League lacrosse. Calgary leading Winnipeg 12-9. Both these teams having these opportunities to finally find the end zone and having to settle for the 3.
And the nature of this game, this goes back to my belief in why Dave Dickinson chose to challenge at the time that he did.
Yeah.
A battle of field goals, both teams having trouble finding the end zone. It's not coming easily. He had that drive on which he was sort of granted good field position to start it with the Tommy Lee Lewis return. Wanted to try to make the most of it in terms of cashing in with a TD.
Final play of the quarter, Jake Mayer on his own 40. And that is intercepted to the 30. It's DeMario Houston again. What a season. And he takes this one all the way back, a 45-yard pick six. And the Bombers go in front. Disaster at the end of the third quarter for Jake Mayer.
And I'm sure it doesn't make Jake Mayer feel any better, but DeMario Houston's been doing this to every quarterback in the league all season long. Terrific jump on the football here. Stepping in front of Mark and Michelle, and he is off to the races.
He has 7 interceptions on the season. Calgary's entire team has 6.
Yeah, terrific play from Houston. His 10th takeaway of the year.
First career CFL touchdown for DeMario Houston. Comes at the exact right moment for the Bombers. And just like that, Winnipeg goes on top by 4 at the end of the third quarter. Just a sensational campaign so far for DeMario Houston, the 26-year-old out of Southern University in his third year with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Just comes up big. We'll have a special guest to start the fourth quarter. Make sure you stick around for that. 98 Grey Cup MVP in the house. Welcome back to McMahon Stadium in Calgary. We're talking about the anniversary, 25th anniversary of the 1998 Calgary Stampeders Grey Cup championship team. Jeff Garcia, 260 pass yards, 47 rush yards, had a rushing touchdown in that game and was the 98 Grey Cup MVP. And he joins us in the booth right now. And Jeff's been a special night here for you guys so far.
It's been an awesome night, reconnecting with a lot of great guys. Just, you know, those teammates back in those days, I mean, what we shared on and off the field, I mean, we had a great time, and we accomplished some great things, and to be back here celebrating 25 years later, it's been awesome.
Dwayne was telling us earlier, and I guess this is how it works for a lot of championship teams, but he was telling us earlier, that was a group that just came together extremely well early in the season for you guys. And I guess when something like that clicks, it can lead to a championship.
Yeah, the chemistry that we had. I mean, obviously, guys that have been with the Stampeders for a number of years saw what a special organization it was and what the expectation was, but we just hadn't been able to finish. And, you know, we really took it upon ourselves with the leadership, with the young guys that came in. But we had just a special core group of players, and we were able to pull it together finally and win that Grey Cup championship.
Yeah, you know, Calvin Anderson was with us in the beginning of the second quarter, and he talked about how, you know, in 96 and 97, some really good teams and just didn't come together. I guess it goes back to the whole learning how to win sort of discussion that people have in sports.
Yeah, and I think humbling yourself in ways, you know, when you dominate during the regular season, but then you're not able to sustain that in the postseason when it really counts. I mean, that's what it comes down to, you know, rising to the challenge and stepping up to the plate when, hey, everything's on the line. And finally we were able to do that. But you know what, just the experience that I had in Calgary for 5 years, Wally bringing me in, Wally had done a great job of bringing in talent, of creating the culture that was there. And then just, you know, the Canadian players, the American players, all of us, just the bond that was built during that time and the relationships that continue today is unlike anything else that I've experienced in my life.
That memorable, hey? And like 30 of you guys here today too, which just like awesome.
There's a great group of guys, and we had a great time in the pregame, in the halftime. I mean, we're you know, we're taking off from where we were when we were in our 20s.
Haven't missed a beat, eh?
Haven't missed a beat, but we're gonna feel it more tomorrow.
Great week of celebration. You know, going back to that game, give me your thought process on watching the field goal to kind of seal that away.
Yeah, you know, it was a back and forth game. I felt like it was a well-played game by both teams. Not a lot of mistakes. I mean, the way it should be played. And it really came down to the last team to have the football, and we were fortunate to be that team. And when I stepped on the field for that 2-minute drive, I mean, there was no question in the huddle that we weren't going to be able to move that ball down the field. And with Mark McLaughlin, with the kicking crew that we had, with Tony Martino, Mark, the special teams unit that we had, you know, there really wasn't a question that this was going to be an opportunity for us to win this game. And just putting them in a position to be able to make that kick was awesome.
Perfect. Well, thanks a lot, man. Great to meet you. Thanks for popping up in the booth tonight. And yeah, there you are. Big celebration at halftime for Jeff Garcia and the rest of that 1998 Grey Cup champion Stampeders squad. CFL on TSN continues tomorrow night as the Alouettes and Red Blacks go head-to-head. Huge game. This will be a good one. Tune in at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific to catch the action only on TSN.
Rather massive battle in the East Division.
That's a real nice matchup. Looking forward to watching that game tomorrow. Camaro, Houston, the difference maker so far in this one. An interception for a touchdown. That'll get it to Bailey. Bailey, far side. It's out to about the 15 before he's forced out of bounds. So this is that situation with Winnipeg. I've seen it multiple times this year. They get that ball in the fourth quarter, they drive the field for about 8 minutes, and then sort of seal the game away, right?
Yeah, it's an identity that they've really established over the course of the last couple of years, is that you really don't want to let them be close in the fourth quarter, because they're pretty comfortable with that.
When you have a guy like Brady Oliveira, who you can really use to slam the ball down the throats of the defense. 11 carries and 80 yards. That's exactly where they're going to go here, but Calgary gets the job done. Titus Wall with a huge stop on Brady Oliveira, and Calgary will get the ball back.
That's great for Calgary. Titus Wall, a couple big plays in this ball game, but you know, this all starts off with a terrific punt and cover that puts Winnipeg in a tough spot. The defense gets the needed stop for them to potentially have a short field here, which obviously is a big help to their offense.
5th 2 and out of the ball game for the Bombers. Tommy Lee Lewis stands on his own 50. And we've seen him with a couple of excellent returns already in this game. Short kick, was that deflected? Lewis takes it all the way back down to the 30, and that's where he's forced out. And boy, Calgary in business immediately as Lewis, a 20-yard burst back up along the far sideline.
Yeah, and just to go back to it, we often talk about the importance of special teams in the Canadian Football League, and you see it just in terms of this exchange. They do a great job on punt cover. That gets Winnipeg backed up. Nice job defensively, but then a great job here on the return. Lewis just getting it up the field, recognizing that he's already in a good spot when he catches it. You see that lane up the sidelines, he hits it. And just gets as much as he can going straight ahead, doesn't play around. and suddenly they're in scoring position.
Best starting field position of the game for Jake Maier on the Winnipeg 29. Maier, Kunavanu through his hands, over his head, and up out of play, working against Winston Rose, and Jake Maier having to pick himself up off the turf.
A little bit of pressure here supplied by Jackson Jeffcoat from his defensive end position. Trying to draw the defense to the other side with Reggie Begelton's pre-snap motion. He kind of shows bubble screen. Going left, Maier looking right all the way. That one just sailing over the outstretched arms of Hakanabanu.
Calgary just 2 for 14 on second down. This one batted down. And will Paredes have to trot out again to attempt his 5th field goal of the night? Billy Jefferson causing issues for the Calgary offense as per usual.
Yeah, watch Jefferson, who lines up inside on this one. We often see him do on passing downs, fighting to the inside, taking away that passing lane from Jake Maier. Hands on the football.
Paredes 4 of 5 tonight. His 6th field goal attempted is the 5th one that he makes. And Calgary trails Winnipeg by 1 in the 4th quarter. Willie Jefferson, a monster of a man, having a monster of a season once again for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Blocks that pass. Calgary settles for 3. Welcome back to McMahon Stadium. Here's a look at where the West sits right now as we work our way through week 11. Winnipeg and BC right at the top 7-2. Calgary, like we said, huge game here tonight with Saskatchewan, certainly within striking distance. And of course, the Red Hot Elks.
They're on a winning streak.
Hot on their tail. They're streaking.
People only want to talk about a streak when they're losing. Right?
Here's Brown. Brady Oliveira, first down, and the most dangerous offensive weapon in this game tonight. Moves the chains for Winnipeg.
Yeah, pretty good guy to go to for Winnipeg when they want to try and regain some momentum in this ball game. Lines up to the left. Nick Dembski joining him in the backfield on this one. Little cross motion. Quick flip out to the flat there to Oliveira.
Nice catch from Oliveira, too.
Nice catch. Nice little half hurdle there over Trey Roberson.
Talk about Brown learning from Zach Collaros. Worked out well for Brady Oliveira, too, with Andrew Harris helping him up. Now Brown on the roll to his right and has to throw it away. And hit at the end of the play, and it draws a flag against the Calgary Stampeders. Julian Hauser, the guilty party on somewhat of an undisciplined play.
Yeah, we'll take another look at this one because Hauser's certainly not a guy with any kind of reputation for taking liberties.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Calgary number 95. It's a 15-yard penalty, and it's an automatic first down for Winnipeg.
He get a hand into the head
Yeah,
a little bit?
I think that's the issue, and I don't think it's intentional from Hauser. You know, he's coming full speed and goes to give a little shove, but the right hand got up too high. It's a fair call. The right hand looked like it caught Drew Brown around the ear hole.
Dave Dickinson not pleased in the slightest. And now Winnipeg up to the Calgary 42 with a 1-point lead. Less than 10 to go in the 4th quarter. Give it to McCray. Greg McCray has enough for a first down as Winnipeg getting everyone involved on the ground here.
Yeah, and it's a neat backfield flow on this play because they show this as if it's going to be a toss out wide with the first man to come. And then you'll see the offensive lineman coming from the backside, and it ends up going inside to McCray.
Tough play to defend. isn't it? There's a lot going on.
Because you got to start flowing because they've shown that wide toss to Oliveira already.
Brown to Schoen. Dozier stops him in his tracks, but not before he picks up a Winnipeg first down. Third catch of the game for Schoen.
Yeah, short pass, certainly nothing that's going to go on the highlight reel, but from Schoen's perspective, just good awareness. He knows that the hit's coming, but keeps his concentration on that football and still manages to sidestep just enough to avoid taking that straight-on shot from Dozier coming downhill on him.
3 catches for Schoen, 3 for Dembski, 3 for Bailey, a couple for Kenny Lawler. Somewhat quiet tonight, just 20 yards. First and 10 from the Calgary 18. Pressure from the stance, and Brady Oliveira is gobbled up immediately by Moore.
Mike Moore, a nice addition to this Calgary Stampeders defensive line.
Yeah, they lost Wouters, and he stepped in nicely.
Yeah, and Moore is a guy who gives you versatility. He's at the top of the screen on this one, but a guy with ample experience at both end and tackle in this league. They're showing production at both. Father Sean, a former CFL quarterback in Ottawa.
2nd and 12 for Brown. Flushed out of the pocket on the run to his right. Tripped up, throws it as he falls, and it falls incomplete. Hauser again all over him, and a flag really late.
Yeah, maybe grounding here.
Okay.
Yeah, as Drew Brown on his way down, he's trying to avoid that loss of yards on a sack. They're trying to throw an incomplete pass here.
Intentional grounding. Winnipeg, number 6. It's a loss of down. It's going to be 3rd down.
Match for 95, Julian Hauser. He's on the front side. Pretty good bull rush there to start things off. Manages to just clip the heel.
Tripped him just enough, didn't he? So 3rd and 26, Castillo out. 42-yarder, he's 3 for 3 tonight. This one, his longest by far, to give his team a 4-point cushion on the road in Calgary. And Castillo sneaks that one inside the right upright. And Winnipeg leads 19-14 with just over 7 minutes to go. Castillo knocks it home. Fifth, Ricky Fowler, Scheffler, Cantlay, all in the mix. Should be a great weekend of golf. Calgary trailing 19-15 here, down by 4 with less than 7 to play. Mayer out to his right, down the field for Tommy Lee Lewis. Got it! Lewis holds it in down inside the 25. And Calgary moves the ball deep down the field finally.
Yeah, nice strike, and they find a solution here. You think about the number of times in the course of this game, I've talked about Jake Mayer not being able to do what he wants to do, pushing the ball downfield because he's in confined space. He's got people preventing him from stepping into those deep throws. They find a solution by moving the pocket. Get him on the outside, on the perimeter, and he's able to go over the head of DeMario Houston here for a big play for Tommy Lee Lewis and the Stampeders.
5'7", Tommy Lee Lewis going up to get that one as it dropped in over the head of Houston. Mayer looking to throw again. Pressured this time, and he will be scooped up and taken down. Jake Thomas is there for his 4th sack of the year.
Jake Thomas, the veteran New Brunswick native, played his university football for the Acadia Axemen under Jeff Cummins. Has been such a stalwart for this Winnipeg Blue Bombers team.
Talk about being available.
Yes, sir.
I mean, let's roll him out there for over a decade. So 2nd and 16 for Mayer. They really don't want to have to settle for another field goal here. Mayer dumps it off. Odoms Dukes wrapped up immediately by Dietrich Nichols, and that is exactly what will happen. Paredes will come out here and attempt to put home his 6th field goal of this football game.
And Winnipeg, with that defensive touchdown looming large in this battle of field goals.
Fitting with the way that defenses have played tonight that the only touchdown is from the defense.
Well, it really is, but you know, the score, we've watched this score go in multiples of 3 throughout as the teams are settling for field goals, but that extra point, right? As Paredes can only pull them within 1. That
Paredes
1-7 stands out.
Does just that. 6 field goals for Paredes tonight. But they still sit 1 point back of Winnipeg. DeMario Houston, the difference maker so far. An interception of Jake Mayer taken back to the house for his first CFL touchdown.
Big play in a season of big plays for DeMario Houston.
We asked him on the call earlier this week what was the most interceptions he had in a season, and remember, it was a ridiculous number.
He was in the teens.
It was like
set a school record in
12 games or something. And now a bobbled ball, and that's Prukop in the game again. Last time he was in, bobbled it on a handoff to McRae, and it happens again here, and all of a sudden, 2nd and long for Winnipeg.
Yeah, maybe back to the drawing board to fine-tune some of the exchanges in this package. And you know, you have to wonder a little bit when you create a specialty package with one of your quarterbacks. This has been the thing that has limited the use of true wildcat formations, right? You only have so much practice time during the week. Probably not a ton of snaps for Dakota Prukop to work exchanges.
2nd and 12 for Brown. He goes to Wolotarski, who tried to backpedal his way to a first down, but will be stopped a couple of yards shy, and that's because they lost 2 yards on first down. So it'll be 3rd and a couple. 3rd and about 1.5. And Winnipeg's offense is staying on the field, and Drew Brown is staying on the field.
They're going to have to hustle here. Clock's down to 3 already.
No chance. And whistles blow as they tried to get a play
Time
off.
count violation. Winnipeg number 6. It's a 5-yard penalty.
No.
It's still going to be 3rd down, and we're now at the 3-minute warning.
Do you think they're actually trying to run that play, or are they going to try to draw him offside anyway? Because that
may be with Brown, who's not the short yardage guy.
Yeah.
But you certainly wonder with the struggles Prukop has had.
Great finish coming up. Well, Tommy Lee Lewis getting an opportunity again on special teams, even more so with Clark Barnes out. And into the game offensively more as well. Look at this, 221 yards in the return game tonight. Paredes has made 6 field goals. Record is 8 in a game. 2 different guys have done that. Jamison Sheen, low kick. Lewis takes it just inside the 30. Pushes ahead back to the 40, but Calgary trailing by 1. 2:42 on the clock. Will start with the ball in pretty decent field position here, considering what Paredes has done so far tonight.
Yeah, and I don't want to go all dramatic here, setting the stage, etc. But 25 years ago, on a night just like this in Winnipeg, 1998 Grey Cup. I think there were less than 2 minutes left.
Yeah, but
on the clock.
Jeff said earlier,
Calgary trailing by 1.
And a field goal to win the entire thing. But that team being celebrated here tonight. Mayer, and that one incomplete. Looked like some contact there against Ambles, but it is batted down. Here's what we were talking about. Look at the drama here.
Yeah, after Jeff Garcia had led the team down the field, Mark McLaughlin splits the uprights.
McLaughlin's one of those guys with 8 field goals in a game. We just looked at it in the record book.
Yeah.
Well, that would be fitting. Long way to go here. With just over 2.5 to play, Calgary 2 for 16 on second down tonight. And this one, they'll need the whole chunk, 2nd and 10 from their own 40. Mayer, pressured, escapes to his right, looking down the field, doesn't want to run with it, throws it incomplete, but a flag thrown. Big Hill was working there against Dedrick Mills. And a flag right at the end of the play.
And we'll try and take a closer look at this one. That just may let the Calgary Stampeders off the hook.
Defensive pass interference, Winnipeg number 4. It's an automatic first down for Calgary.
And that'll move them into Bomber territory as well. So Big Hill running back turned, runs through the receiver.
Pretty clear cut on that one. And Calgary now certainly creeps towards Paredes field goal range, 2:29 on the clock. Dean Carroll, Mills rather, breaks one tackle. That was Willie Jefferson he actually shed on the way through. And Dedrick Mills getting the bulk of the work here late in this one.
Yeah, pounding away, Calgary. Certainly knowing the history of Rene Paredes.
He's got 10 walk-off winners in his career, a couple this year, beyond 50. And Calgary plays close football games. 10 of their last 11. Decided in the final 3 minutes. We are now in the final 2 minutes. Mayer. Owens Dukes couldn't hang on. And that will bring up 3rd down. And Paredes will trot out for a deep shot to take the lead.
And you'll see Jefferson again. 2nd down, moves inside. And once again, gets a hand on that football, deflects it, and completely changes the flight of the ball.
Paredes sets up from 50. He is 6 for 6 from 50 or beyond so far this year. 6 of 7 tonight. This one for the lead from 50. No, it's short. McCray grabs it, brings it out. Here goes Greg McCray. Wrapped up short of the 10. Paredes just misses it. McCray gets it out, and the Bombers lead by 1.
Yeah, and kind of worst case scenario for Calgary is to miss short, which obviously is going to be a risk on a 50-yarder. But to miss short because the single point ties the game, but because it's not very far into the end zone, McCray is able to get that ball out.
Yeah, just one little hop, and McCray grabbed it quickly and got it out.
Yeah, a ball that's not deep into the end zone, and your cover team coming from a long way away is not the great combination to try and get down there and force the single.
Tough for Paredes, but when your offense is settled for 8 field goals tonight, don't think you can put much blame on him. They'll hand it off to Dembski, and Dembski gets about 4 yards on 1st down. So 2nd and 6 here with 1 minute and 40 seconds left. I mean, if you're Calgary's defense, you're still in a really good spot here if you can get a stop.
Yeah, this is a big 2nd down play for Calgary, no question. Because it's an opportunity, much like we talked about a few minutes ago, an opportunity to get the ball back with a short field if you can get them off the field here.
Paredes may have a chance to redeem himself if Jake Mayer and the Calgary offense can get the ball back. Micah Alway and the defense trying to do their job right here. 2nd and 6 for Winnipeg. Brady Oliveira gets the handoff. Calgary's defense trying to stop him. Still pushing ahead. And this will be close, won't it?
It looked at the start like Calgary was going to stop him dead, but how about the work of Brady Oliveira and that offensive line keeping that ball moving forward?
I lost him in the middle of the pack there.
Yeah, like initially it looks like there's going to be no doubt, and they're going to get the stop. You've got Hardrick in there pushing. I think Jeff Gray in there as well. And of course, Brady Oliveira legs churning to move that pile.
The Bombers are going to go for it. 3rd from their own 17. Could kick it away, give Calgary the ball with time and decent field position. Instead, they'll try to almost essentially end it right here. Prukop trying to push ahead. What a push! And he has it. First down, Winnipeg, with 56 seconds on the clock.
Fourth quarter Bombers making a play when they need to make a play. And this is something of a backs against the wall situation for them. You know, we mentioned Dakota Prukop, not with the short yardage unit, but with his package offensively, a couple struggles. Fumbling the football, but at crunch time, you see Zach going over and giving him a little lift. Dakota Prukop.
Well, good for Prukop, too, because he bobbled a couple of balls tonight. And
came through big right there.
Yep. No timeouts left for Calgary. Victory formation for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And Calgary, I mean, the story here with the Calgary Stampeders is this is now 4 football games in a row. Now, against some good teams, Toronto, BC, Winnipeg. They get Toronto again coming up. But they have 1 offensive touchdown in their last 4 games, Dwayne.
Yeah, and some good things tonight. They managed to push the ball down the field a few times, make some big plays in the passing game. There were flashes in the run, but you're absolutely right. It's not enough, and especially against the league's best, as we've seen the last 2 weeks, BC and Winnipeg. You got to score to win. Bottom line, you score a touchdown in this game, you win the game.
Yeah, and they had a number of opportunities and had to settle for field goals inside the red zone. Winnipeg now, Brown getting his second start. Going to lead his team to a victory on the strength of their defense. And let's be honest, Bombers defense is pretty good tonight, and the
Certainly.
1 touchdown in the game came from the Winnipeg defense.
Yeah, they made life difficult for Jake Maier all night long. Doesn't necessarily show up in terms of a lot of sacks, but we've talked about the Willie Jefferson knockdowns, those big ones on second down. Opportunities where Maier sees open receivers but can't get the ball to them because number 5's getting his big mitts on the rock.
Calgary settled for nothing but field goals last week, and they settled for nothing but field goals again this week. And they fall to 1-4 at home, 3-7 on the year. Still a couple of points back of the Riders. Riders at home against the BC Lions on a Sunday. Looking forward to bringing that game to you as well later in the weekend. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, hey, they don't all have to be pretty. Bombers found a way to get it done tonight. Brady Oliveira was excellent, 80 yards on the ground. DeMario Houston with the play of the game, a pick 6 at the end of the 3rd quarter that ended up being the difference maker for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And Paredes, 6 field goals, simply not enough. Winnipeg squeaks by the Stamps. Sports Center with Jermaine Franklin and Glenn Sheeler is next.
And hello, Canada. Welcome inside Sports Center. Thanks for joining us after Friday Night Football. It's Jermaine Franklin, Glenn Sheeler along with you. Well, that was a bit of a field goal fest in Calgary. The Kickers certainly earning their paycheck tonight, but another tough loss for the Stampeders. I mean, this team, the offense was sort of moving the ball, but they just could not get it in the end zone, and you can't rely on your kicker to kick 7 field goals in one game. Just couldn't make that 50-yarder at the end.
Yeah, even when it's the best kicker in the game, and Rene Paredes, you cannot completely depend on him for offense. The job is to score TDs, and the Stamps simply couldn't get it done in that sense. Blue Bombers Stamps, Drew Brown making his second career start in place of injured Zach Collaros. Meanwhile, the temperature at kickoff was 8 degrees Celsius. It's still August. Late first quarter, Bombers trailing 6-3. Brown hands it off to Brady Oliveira, who runs for the 27-yard gain. Winnipeg kicked a field goal on the drive to tie it at 6. Oliveira had 73 rushing yards at the half. Second quarter now. Still tight. Stamps on their own 9-yard line. Jake Maier airs it out to Reggie Begelton, and he makes the leaping grab. A 31-yard play for the Stamps. No TDs for either side through the first 2 quarters. The game was tied at 6. a defensive struggle. Meanwhile, the Stamps honoring their 1998 Grey Cup winning team at halftime. CFL on TSN's Dwayne Ford there. Quarterback Jeff Garcia also in attendance. Third quarter, Mayer airing it out once again.
There, but 1st and 10 for Calgary. Mayer, he's going to look down the field again for Michelle. He lays out and gets it. Are you kidding me? What a play!
An outstanding grab, a 45-yard play to Mark and Michelle, setting the Stamps up in great field position. But on 2nd and 9, Luther Hakanavanu can't make the grab. Oh, you can see he's like, which way do I catch it? It led to another Stamps field goal to make it 12-6 Calgary, but more misfortune later in the quarter.
40, and that is intercepted to the 30. It's DeMario Houston again. What a season! And he takes this one all the way back, a 45-yard pick six.
DeMario Houston with the pick six for his first career CFL TD, while it's Mayer's league-leading 12th interception. The first TD of the game makes it 16-12 Winnipeg, but the Stamps had a chance. From 50. And they couldn't get it, winded up short, and Winnipeg wins the game 19-18, the final, to the dismay of Paradise. Okay, this was the first time since 2019 that the Bombers played the Stamps without Zach Collaros starting under center. The Bombers have now won 5 straight meetings over the Stampeders. These two clubs have won more meetings this year. They have one more meeting this year, the final week of the regular season in Calgary, and that stands to be a big one, especially for the Stamps. With more, let's go to Kate Burness and the panel.
Alongside David Sanchez, Jim Barker, Paul LaPolice, and a defensive battle on Friday Night Football. Both of these offenses struggling to get into the end zone. And Ches, no surprise, the one touchdown in this game, courtesy of the defense.
And that was the play of the game. I felt like all game long, the Stampeders, they kept them in check. If you look at the offensively, 170 yards passing. You hold a team in the CFL to 170 yards passing, you win the game. Unless you throw a pick six when you're up a score. And at this point in the game, guys, did any of us think that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offense was capable of driving the ball down the field and scoring? No. Calgary had this game. If you're Dave Dickinson, a very good quarterback, a Hall of Fame quarterback in this league, you're so frustrated because they did everything they could. They made big plays. Offense that hasn't been making big plays, they made big plays. They did what they could defensively. And then, once again, I guess Jake Mayer is consistently in crucial points of the game making bad decisions or just not executing. And it's not all on him. His receivers let him down. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the quarterback in crucial spots, and this one's going to sting because they could have beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers tonight. Winnipeg made enough plays to get it done, but this one's going to sting.
Yeah, in this game, he basically didn't play well enough for them to win in a game that the rest of their team played well enough to win. They were playing against Drew Brown, a backup quarterback, who played more like a backup quarterback, where he didn't last week. But Jake Mayer, 11 for 24. He was not even 50% passing. And again, throwing that interception is inexcusable. He took sacks. The bottom line is they get down into the red zone and they cannot score if they get there. And second down conversion for them, they were 2 for 16 tonight.
Wow.
Terrible. It's just how you can't win games when you can't move the ball consistently down the field. Rennie Paredes, maybe the best kicker in history, but you can't ask him to kick that field goal to win the game. And Lapo, it was tough to watch.
I said it in the second quarter. You cannot let Winnipeg hang around because Calgary's defense, give them credit. This is the best offense in the CFL. Calgary's defense gave up some run yardage, but they kept Winnipeg out of the end zone. Yeah. But then there are some great special teams plays. Also, Tommy Lee Lewis had 2 big runs. They didn't capitalize. No points out of that. A couple weeks ago, when I did color of the Montreal game, they couldn't get a touchdown. They had 6 field goals. Once again, 6 field goals tonight. And the pick 6, obviously, I felt the offense let the team down tonight because special teams did enough, defense did enough. And Jake has had, this might be his 3rd pick 6 this season. You just can't make those mistakes when you're trying to claw out of where you've been. The craziest stat for me is Winnipeg has won 9 out of 11 games against the Calgary Stampeders. And as somebody who spent 4 years in that organization, it was so hard to beat them. It's an amazing stat right now.
Bottom line is, it's very difficult to win Grey Cups when your quarterback performs like that in a key ball game for a 3-16 at home.
And I mean, the last time we saw Jake Mayer throw a touchdown pass, week 7 against Ottawa now. But for the Bombers, too, even with the way Drew Brown played in this game, finding ways to win. And we know that that's what great teams do as we send it back to SportsCenter.
New on SC, Farhan Lalji with Drew Brown.
You get the start, you get the win. I know it wasn't always pretty, but I also know you don't care. You just wanted to win for this group.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're happy with the win. I thought we competed well. There's going to be a few games a year where it's ugly, but we talk about it all the time. Winning looks different every week. Last week it was something else. This week it was, 123 rushing yards or whatever it was, and taking care of the ball. So whatever it takes, I could care less. We got the win. There's going to be a lot of things to work on for sure moving forward, but yeah, anytime you can learn from a win, it helps.
What's it like to have Brady? You can lean on him. It's cold weather, tough conditions for him to be able to move the ball the way he did.
Yeah, I think Brady, the guys up front. I think we're comfortable saying the things that we say as far as doesn't matter what it takes. It takes what it takes. And like I said, sometimes that's toting it, 25, 30 times, and the receivers being okay with that, and they are, because the guys up front and Brady are going to handle that.
For you, sometimes it could be just about not making the mistake. What did you learn about yourself because you were able to do that?
I think I got to work on that. I think there were a few plays tonight that I put the ball in jeopardy, and I just got to know when you get into a game like this that sometimes it's the throws you don't make that are important, and I still have a lot to learn, obviously, and that's how I'll view it moving forward, So just continuing to be hard on myself and understanding that when you get in games like this, you got to, whatever it takes to win, even if it's handing off, 30-plus times or whatever it was, and just taking care of the ball.
Thanks for this. Congrats on the win.
Appreciate it.
Demario Houston made the play of the game, pick 6 to end the third quarter. Here he is with Farhan.
Demario, your first career pick 6. You couldn't have picked a better time to do it.
I know. My team needed to play. My defense needed to play, and I just, came up with it, and it was at a great moment.
You've had 7 this year. I mean, you're pretty good with the ball in your hands when it gets in your area.
Yeah, whenever, the ball's in the air, I just try to make a play on it. Whenever I get an opportunity, I just try to take full advantage of it.
What about the play of the defense? It seemed to be a bit of a defensive struggle, and whenever they moved the ball, you were able to hold them to field goals. How good was your D tonight?
Our defense was good. We held them like we didn't score any. They didn't come up with any touchdowns, and we were able to, hold them to 3 points, which, if you can't score touchdowns and hold them to 3 points, it's hard to win ball games that way.
Thanks for this. Congrats on the win.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And here's a look at the last 2 games in Week 11 with odds powered by FanDuel. The Alouettes are slight favorites in Ottawa. Montreal picked up a 7-point victory against the Red Blacks in Week 1. Then it's the Lions as 9.5-point road favorites in Saskatchewan. BC is 6-3 against the spread this season. Coverage on TSN begins Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific.
SportsCenter continues with Stamps head coach Dave Dickinson, whose team is now 3-7 on the year.
Dave, another close loss. Seemed like self-inflicted wounds tonight. Dropped passes, missed field goals. Had a chance to take it home.
No, it was a team loss. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody probably has a play they want back. We had a lot of balls in our hands, and even on defense, we had a good shot at something. But good teams find ways to make the plays, and the teams that aren't winning, they find ways to lose. We found another way to lose.
There was, in terms of performance, certainly defensively, there was a huge improvement over last week. Does this feel like a step forward at all, or does it just feel like
no step forward when you lose. I'm really proud of the effort and the commitment. I am. I think as a coach, one of the things you want to make sure you do is are the guys continuing to play. Do the guys still have faith? Do the guys believe in what we're selling? And I was really proud, and the way we came off a short week playing such a great opponent, that everybody showed up with that sort of commitment level. But the negative is the confidence isn't there. So until you get confidence, you just don't play with that same, I guess, swagger or anything as saying, hey, I'm going to make this play. But a few guys did, a lot of guys actually. But when you play a great opponent, you give them a few plays here or there, you miss a few opportunities, you lose.
Obviously, Luther has that drop, and then pretty much, a minute or two later, there's the pick six. Does it feel like that's where the game was lost?
Yeah, I mean, it's big series, but the guys were resilient, and they kept playing, and they kept believing, and we would have, we had a chance for a field goal at the end, and couldn't keep them in there either. And listen, it's a team loss, and it includes all of us. It stings. These things are starting to really, to me, getting out of hand. A few too many of these in a season, but we're like 10 games in. I honestly think we can get out of it. I think the guys show that there's a good team out there. We just got to find ways to make plays instead of miss the plays, and I believe once we do that a time or two and can win some games back to back, I think the confidence will be there, and you'll see a team that is playing at a higher level. But unfortunately right now we're not there.
You talked about getting Tommy Lee Lewis more.
SportsCenter rolls on. Jermaine and Glenn still along with you. Let's go back to Calgary and wrap up the Friday Night Football story, where the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defense really should get the game ball for this one tonight. Bend but not break. They just did not allow the Stamps to get into that end zone, and then the pick six to end the third quarter really sealed the victory, I think, for them. And this Blue Bombers team, they just find ways to win without their back-to-back MOP in the lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. And who's in it instead? Drew Brown, and he had 4 touchdowns in last week. Wasn't the case, but like you said, the defense came through for the Bombers. Blue Bombers, Stamps, Drew Brown making his second career start in place of the injured Zach Hilaros. Meanwhile, the temperature at kickoff was 8 degrees Celsius. Man, I miss Calgary. Late first quarter, Bombers trailing 6-3. Brown hands it off to Brady Oliveira, who runs for the 27-yard gain. Winnipeg kicked a field goal on the drive to tie it at 6. Oliveira had 73 rushing yards at the half. Okay, Jake Mayer, second quarter, still tied. Stamps on their own 9-yard line. Mayer airs it out, and Reggie Bagleton makes the leaping grab. A 31-yard play, but no TDs for either side through the first 2 quarters. The game was tied at 6. Meanwhile, the Stamps honoring their... Oh, that's a beautiful grab there. The Stamps honoring their 1998 Grey Cup winning team at halftime. CFL on TSN's Dwayne Ford there. Quarterback Jeff Garcia also in attendance. Then in the third, Mayer airing it out once again.
1st and 10 for Calgary. Mayer, he's going to look down the field again for Michelle. He lays out and gets it. Are you kidding me? What a play!
A 45-yard play to Mark and Michelle, setting the Stamps up in great field position, but on 2nd and 9, Luther Hakunavanhu. Yikes! It led to another Stamps field goal, but you got to catch that, don't you?
There's nobody within 20 yards of him.
Before the end of the quarter.
Jake Mayer on his own 40, and that is intercepted to the 30. It's Demario Houston again. What a season! And he takes this one all the way back, a 45-yard pick six.
Double yikes. Demario Houston with the pick six for his first career CFL TD, while it's Mayer's league-leading 12th interception. The first TD of the game makes it 16-12 Winnipeg. Then, with under 2 minutes to play, Stamps down by 1. Rene Paredes going for his 7th field goal of the night, but from 50, it's wide and short. Winnipeg returns it out of the end zone, and we're able to hold on. Paredes made 6 of 8 field goals in the game, but just misses the potential game winner as the Bombers improve to 8-2 on the season. Here's Jake Mayer on the pick six.
I threw another pick six tonight. It just seems to be one of those years for me sometime, or this year, where I don't feel like I make a ton of mistakes, but when they do happen, they happen to be pretty tragic. So I keep working my ass off to fix that and understand risk and reward on certain plays and certain decisions. So I take full accountability for that.
And with the win, the Bombers move into sole possession of first place in the West. The Bombers have won the last 5 meetings over the Stamps. Calgary has now lost 4 of 5 and sitting in 4th spot in the West. Not a familiar spot for Calgary. The crossover to the East is definitely in play, however, as the Stamps, Ticats, and Red Blacks all have 6 points. With more, let's go to Kate in the panel.
Alongside David Sanchez, Jim Barker, Paul LaPolice, and a defensive battle on Friday Night Football. Both of these offenses struggling to get into the end zone. And Ches, no surprise, the one touchdown in this game, courtesy of the defense.
And that was the play of the game. I felt like all game long, the Stampeders, they kept them in check. They kept, if you look at the offensively, 170 yards passing. You hold a team in the CFL to 170 yards passing, you should win the game. Unless you throw a pick six when you're up a score. And at this point in the game, guys, did any of us think that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offense was capable of driving the ball down the field and scoring? No. Calgary had this game. If you're Dave Dickinson, a very good quarterback, a Hall of Fame quarterback in this league, you're so frustrated because they did everything they could. They made big plays. Offense that hasn't been making big plays, they made big plays. They did what they could defensively. And then once again, I guess Jake Mayer is